Next on America's Day of the Races, the Saturday card from Hot Springs, Arkansas features 2 stakes races, and 2-time champion trainer Brad Cox has the horse to beat in both as he goes for a Saturday stakes sweep. First Mission appeared to be a new force in the older horse division until he flopped in the Pegasus to start his 4-year-old campaign. Cox is expecting much better in today's Grade 3 Essex Handicap. In the Hot Springs, after testing the road to the Kentucky Derby, sprinting is where Nash winds up. He'll cut back in distance for the first time since he debuted as a 2-year-old. And we'll have live bonus coverage all weekend long from Tampa Bay Downs, including a competitive sprint in the 8th with stakes winner Little Vic, who we've seen on the New York circuit. All that and more coming up on this Saturday edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Good to be with you on our FS2 coverage. Obviously, no horses running here behind us in South Ozone Park, New York at Aqueduct because of a lot of rain on the Saturday afternoon, which we anticipated yesterday as a result of that, moving that Saturday card for today to Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten, I think, at least 2 inches of rain, and it continues to rain hard. The wind is going to be coming in. In fact, it's starting to get pretty windy even right now, and it's just a situation where you're better off moving the cards. I don't think it's a secret that we've been struggling a little. You know, it's hard. It's winter time and a tough time. And actually, today's card, a terrific card. So rather than have it washed out with a boatload of scratches and not particularly good conditions, we've moved it to tomorrow, where it's going to be nice weather. We'll run the card. It's an excellent card. If you haven't looked at it, it's now going to be Sunday's card. So it's really just a good situation all around, and something we did very early so people would know, because it's always good to cancel as early as possible. Yeah,
and this Saturday card in its entirety just moved over to Sunday, so no additional handicapping needed.
No, I'd already done it.
Yes.
It was good for me.
So we will be on tomorrow with that. We have, though, a great card on hand from Oaklawn Park. Some bonus coverage as mentioned from Tampa Bay Downs. A couple of stakes, including our ABR race of the week in the Grade 3 Essex Handicap at 1 mile and an eighth. And according to Brad Cox, First Mission is going to be back to the First Mission we saw late last year when we see him later today.
Well, who am I to argue with Brad Cox? You know, it's so hard to know. And listen, his race was so bad in the Pegasus that you have to think something went wrong, Greg. I mean, you watch the race. He broke fine, he found position, and he just started plummeting on the backstretch. This is something he's never done before. Whether or not you love him in this spot or you think he's that good, he has been an incredibly consistent runner until last time. Maybe it was just one of those things. He draws an outside post. He's supposed to be able to get position in here. It feels like he could be the controlling speed. The horse that I'm kind of most interested in, and the horse that I'm sure you're interested in as well, is Magic Tap that we saw in Saratoga last summer. Now, he lost to a nice Todd Fletcher horse last time, and he's got a serious foe in First Mission, but he should be forwardly placed, and it feels like he's the kind of horse that also, like First Mission, maybe he could take that step forward this year and join the Holder Handicap division.
That one for Team Asmussen. Steve Asmussen, son Keith, will team up with Magic Tap, who just missed in the Grade 3 Razorback here at the meet with more. Let's go to Paula Duca live in Hot Springs. Hi, Polly.
Yeah, how you guys doing today? Having a good Saturday here in Hot Springs. Absolutely gorgeous day. I know you guys are dealing with weather and Aqueduct, but yeah, great decision there to announce it early and have the card for tomorrow. But today, like you guys were saying, a tremendous card. And when you get to Magic Tap, he's the kind of horse that keeps on getting better and better. And when you look at like some of his races, you forget that he was in the Pennsylvania Derby and was behind a horse called Saudi Crown, was chasing him all the way around the racetrack. Now in the Razorback last time, he's kind of one of those big, obviously sons of Tappet, where he kind of was grinding away and he got stopped a little bit, but when he got, you know, into stride, he got rolling late, and I think obviously the 1 1/8 miles is going to be the perfect distance for him. That's his stepping stone. He's 2 for 5 at the distance. Now he goes from Tyler Gaffalione to his son, Keith Asmussen, who's been successful on this horse. And I think, like Andy said, you know, the thing about Magic Tap, he could be more tactical. He got behind the 8 ball a little bit last time. He could be more forwardly placed than he was last time, Greg, and I think he's got a giant shot to win, obviously.
All right, Paulie, thanks. We'll be having a lot from Paul's going to be working overtime today with a majority of our coverage coming from Oaklawn.
Well, he should be, because it's miserable here, and he's in nice weather there, so we're going to make him work hard. I think, you know, you and I are both looking to talk more and more about the Essex, because First Mission's going to be a big favorite, and he may well win the race, but this is a wide-open race. There are a lot of players in here.
It really is. Got to overcome that outside post, too, and Some of these horses, they have a little more recency. They have big races at the meet. We'll dive deeper into it as the show goes on, as we take a look at what's ahead, presented by Clayburn Farm. Good currently at Oaklawn as we get set for the 4th race coming up. We'll have the start of the late Big 5 as well. Includes the Hot Springs, where Nash lines up for Brad Cox, who we had thought about Triple Crown Trail with him, tried him on it, now it's back to sprinting. And Fast and Off in Tampa Bay Downs. You can play it all by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets. The offer, as most of you know by now, there it is, that $200 deposit match. New customer bonus. Punch in that bonus 200 code right there at sign up, and you get to take advantage of it right there at nairabets.com at any track, anywhere, anytime. We'll look ahead to tomorrow's stakes action here in New York as we get back to live action on Sunday from Aqueduct with the Biagio's Rose. Lady Mine looking to go back-to-back off that powerful win for Jeremiah Englehart last start, has to deal with security code, who's trying to make it 3 in a row, including a stakes win last time out. We'll be back. Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. America's Day at the Races. Wet weather canceling that Saturday card here in New York. And the Saturday card moved in its entirety to Sunday. We'll have live coverage for you, including the Biagio's Rose. 1 turn mile for fillies and mares, 4 and up. Going to break, we talked about Lady Mine. Security code. Lady Mine coming off that win with a career best figure, at least last time out, going 6 furlongs.
Her connections must have said, they're canceling Saturday? It's going to rain? Bad news for us, good news for them. It'll still probably be a little bit wet on Saturday, and she showed that she can run her races on dry tracks as well. And the only blemish in her recent races was a race where she had a monstrously tough trip and really ran the best race. Now, she's going to have to run better than this, but there's times when you sort of have to put up or shut up, right? Where else are they going to go with her at this point but stakes? And they have to see if a horse who has really improved dramatically for her connections can take that step forward and run against much tougher competition. She fits on paper, but these are tougher horses.
They're probably, before that performance, Connections would have thought about suing for canceling how good she's been on and off track with what happened. But then, as you said, she proved she could do it on a fast track as well. Her main competition Security Code has put together back-to-back victories, including that Broadway last time out.
Yeah, I think she's got a lot of competition in this race. And the question for Security Code is the mile. And I think it's frankly a bit of a question for Lady Mine as well. I mean, these are horses that are more effective going 6 to 7 furlongs. And whether or not they're going to be as effective at a mile, you don't know. And you know that Venti Valentine, I mean, she run the best race for career going a mile. So if the mile favors anybody in this race, it's Venti Valentine. Now, she had every single chance to catch Security Code last time and couldn't run her down. But the mile could make a difference. I think Linda Rice may have a say in this race as well. This is a good race, a fun race, and I like the fact that you're questioning Security Code. Can she get the extra distance? Can Lady Mine step up against tougher competition? It really had some flavor to this field. For a race named for horse Biagio's Rose, it was a really fun runner for trainer Bobby Robato.
And that horse to the outside, the 5 that day, that's Venti Valentine. And as you said, she'll get a little more ground to try and run down Security Code tomorrow, and she's 4 for 7 at a mile.
Yeah, now, I always feel like she's a little better on a dry track. We'll see. She has run well enough on wet tracks. Good race tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
All right, so we'll have that for you tomorrow. That's race 7 on the now Sunday card. We look forward to it. But we have a good card ahead at Oaklawn. Very competitive racing today. I think even, we talked about maybe a vulnerable favorite in the Essex. Even Nash. It was only sprinted once. It was a debut for Brad Cox in that Hot Springs, so we'll talk more about that race as well. Here's the Heights in the 4th at a mile and a 16th maiden claiming race.
Yeah, the Heights is going to have to reach a new height to be competitive against this bunch.
Nullify with Rafael Bejarano for Dwayne Lucas.
Dwayne Lucas always seems to take a lot of money. I just felt like he's a little bit slower than this group.
Top of the street, blinkers go on.
This seems like a generous price at 9 to 2 currently on this horse. Don't know if you expect him to come down, but he's been competitive.
For Kenny McPeak having a terrific meet, Nyquick, Brad Cox sends out.
You don't want to make the slop his excuse last time, but Brad Cox doesn't seem to think so because he drops him into a maiden claimer. He's the favorite because it's Brad, but he's got the best races, but I don't trust him.
Biagio, Keith Asmussen for Nick Zito.
If you bet this horse 11 to 1 last time, you are still annoyed about that preposterous takedown. Fortunately for my man Nick, this is a much tougher spot.
Gino's Myth, Mike Pewich trains.
I don't know what his myth is, but one of them might be winning this race.
3 starts, has not hit the board. Aztec Fire, blinkers come off start number 2.
Isn't he the wise guy horse at 20 to 1 in this race, stretching out and dropping for Norm Cassie? Met the slop first time, though he didn't take a nickel in his first start.
And 3 to 2 favorite outside for Brad Cox as well, Empire's Best.
Just when you thought you had gotten by Brad Cox, he reappeared, this time for Laurent Giroux riding. He's favored because he has the most consistent form, but he's lost twice in a row, Greg, at 1 to 2. How confident can you be about this guy?
Short price favorite has been beat. He should control again, though, potentially from the outside. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, guys, we had an unfortunate situation. Number 1 in here, the Heights dropped his rider, Carlos Barbosa. And, he's gotten loose on the racetrack. Now, the outrider just came book it by me, really, because they kind of... Here's the announcement from Matt Dinnerman.
Number 1, the Heights. Number 1, the Heights, a late scratch out of this 4th race. Folks, if you had number 1, the Heights, and Win Play Show, exacta, trifecta, or superfecta wagers, you will be refunded for those bets.
So, guys, I will get the outriders here do an amazing job. But what they do is they corner everything off. They get one outrider over here, and they get one outrider over here because they don't want the horses to run in front of the stands. We always know that's one of the worst things you can have, a loose horse in front of the stands, and everybody starts cheering, and the horse keeps on booking more. So a good job by the outriders. I can't see between the tents and the trees that they got up for the Arkansas Derby for next weekend. So I can't see if the horse is still loose. There's a tiny bit, obviously, of a delay going into this race. Now, an unfortunate situation because I actually thought that horse looked really well in the post braid for Lindsey Schultz. Now, to get to this race, it's kind of a conundrum, right? I'm kind of with Andy because when you look at the 8 horse in here, Empire's Best, this horse has had 3 different leads. Now, I get it, not clear leads. 2 of the leads have been slow paces. His actually maiden 50 race, you could argue, was maybe his best race when he was pressed a little bit more. But Brad Cox's horses usually finish races, and that's my worry. And he might not be the fastest horse in here. The Lucas horse, the 2 in here, I know might be slow on numbers, but coming out of those 6 furlong races is going to have to push to the front. So is the 8 horse in Empire's Best going to, have to force him his way to the front end? I don't think that's a winning, recipe, but it does set it up probably for his stablemate, which is Nyquick. The thing about Nyquick is, do you have question marks there? Here's a horse that ran second time out after an 80 buyer. Then they put blinkers on the horse. This horse ran against Juilliard. Last time out, did not run a step on the slop. Is that the excuse? Lost to Ben Franklin. That horse came back and crushed a main special weight field. A 7th place horse in that race came back to win a main 30. I just don't understand why the drop so quickly to 55 after some good races. Has this horse gone that sour that quickly? And that's why I wanted to land on the 1, but I really got nobody else. I do think the 3 is getting undervalued in here at 4-1 for Kenny McPink. I know he's putting the blinkers on and he's searching an 0-for-8 horse, but at that value, I think this horse can be there right at the wire with the 4 or with the 8. And then the 5 in here, Vagano, was a very unpopular takedown for Nick Zito last time out for Keith Asmussen. I thought the horse probably should have stayed up. And Nick, this horse ran game and was game for Nick last time. And I think this horse might fire a little back. When I'm talking to Nick, he goes, this race is a little bit tougher than the last one. But I cannot believe the 8 is 4-5. No way I could play that horse at 4-5.
Short price after being beat at 1-2 each of the last 2 starts for Empire's Best. 1 of 2 in here for Brad Cox. He does have the 4 Nyquick as well, who has the biggest numbers of anybody in the race.
No question about it. And he runs back to his best races. He's going to win. He's a little hard to trust off his last race, but I'd rather bet him at 5-2 than the 8 at 4-5. And, once again, hard, fast rules in handicapping are dangerous, but the 4 are dangerous. But betting on horses at odds on that have lost their last 2 races at odds on, that just feels like a bad gamble over time. And also for people saying, well, he's dropping into a maiden claiming race. Not the first time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, top of the street for Kenny McPeak. Paulie brought this horse up. Equipment change today. Blinker's going to go on. We're going to go 2 back to what he called a fast track at Oaklawn. And this was a $100,000 maiden claiming event, and he just missed by 3/4 of a length.
He is a very viable alternative to the favorites in here at 4-1. We were talking about in the post parade as well, and I'm always happy to hear Paulie give an endorsement to horses because his opinion has been spot on the entire Oaklawn meet. And he is a very clear sort of other horse in this race, but at 4-1, he's generous. And also, you might want to make the argument if you want to bet him. Is the 8 4-5 because they know the other Brad Cox isn't going to run well? You know what I mean? It just feels a little bit like that. So if you sort of don't trust the 4, you got to bet against the 8 at 4-5. He's just a terrible. You have to, as a horse player, you have got to let horses like this beat you. If you're betting this race individually, it's one thing if you're betting a pick 5 and you've got some pricey ideas and a couple of the other legs. You don't want to have 4 or 5 and have not used this horse when he wins and have it pay $1,600. But if you're betting this race individually, you want to take a stand, this feels like a good horse. Bet a 3-8. Just bet against this horse, but don't put him on top.
Yeah, and again, as we talked about, he's been in this odds-on favorite for this level before, granted at a different racetrack. The other Brad Cox, Nyquick, this is the first time he is dropping in. So it's almost, you can forgive that effort coming back on a wet track perhaps, if you can put a line through that. He becomes much the horse to beat, doesn't he?
He does, except you're asking yourself, it was the wet track. Why is Brad so quick to drop him into a $55,000 main claimer? On the other hand, they paid $160,000 for him at a 2-year-old sale. Fast figures or not. He's been a tough horse to keep on the racetrack. So if somebody wants to take him for 55, you're talking about Brad Cox, who's got a lot of horses, and where's this horse going? You know what I mean? Is he going to win this race and win a non-winners or one allowance race? Or maybe this is just sort of the right move to try to win a race. It doesn't feel like a total dump job. He's not running him for 20. He's running him where you got to put a few dollars up to claim him.
Even money now. The Empire's Best, the other Cox horse to the outside, floats up to that number. 5-2 on his other horse, Nyquick. Top of the street we showed you. 2 starts back for Kenny McPeak. 7-2. And then the Dwayne Lucas runner who inherits the rail, Nullify, stretching out from some 6 furlong sprints. On the rail, At 7:01. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the fourth from Oaklawn on our Fox Sports 2 coverage.
Best even money favorite with Florent Giroux coming up to the outside. We're ready to go. And they're off. Geno Smith broke inwards, but broke sharply. Isn't quick enough to go with Night Quick, who's quick on the front end. Empire's Best hustled along to get after his stablemate. Geno Smith wedges himself between horses. 3 runners across the track into the clubhouse turn. Nullify in the purple jacket runs in fourth with Top of the Street. Aztec Fire second to last. Vigano is the early trailer with him. Around the clubhouse turn they charge. Night Quick leads the parade here. 3/4 of a length ahead. Geno Smith in the second position. Empire Best eases off the pace, is now third approaching the backstretch run. Nullify Top of the Street. They're together 2.5 lengths off the lead in a space of 4 to Vigano racing at the back with Aztec Fire. 7 runners separated by 8 or 9 lengths down the backstretch run. Night Quick went 23 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile and approaches the half-mile pole 3/4 of a length ahead. Geno Smith in the second spot. Empire's Best third, parked 3 wide. Then Nullify in a pocket to the inside fourth. Top of the Street still alongside of him in a space back to Vigano and Aztec Fire as they charge around the turn. Night Quick shaken up to keep pace. Geno Smith in an all-out drive outside of him. Empire's Best, Florent Giroux getting to work aboard him. He's sent along third, still length off this leader Night Quick, who leads the way with a 1/4 mile to go. In fourth, Nullify still behind the leaders, cuts the corner. Top of the Street is given way to fifth. Aztec Fire attempting to produce a bit on the outside. Night Quick scampers away. Night Quick opening up 2.5, 3 lengths with a furlong to go. Aztec Fire and Nullify chasing. Geno Smith right there too. 16th to go. Night Quick in front by 2.5. Nullify into the second position, but it's Night Quick all the way. Nullify was second, third home. Geno Smith just got there over Aztec Fire for the third spot.
It's Night Quick, the other Brad horse runner, the better price as well at 5-2 for the win.
Well, they didn't know. They bet the other one, and this guy went the lead, and he proved much the best. Guess they made the right drop with him, and it is the right drop. He's probably not winning a maiden special weight with this kind of performance, but he won the race he was in, and that's why Brad Cox wins a lot of races. As for the number 8 in this race, Empire's Best. Wow, that was some performance. I'm not sure. I think he lost the photo for last. I think he was last. He won the photo for last. Finished last.
You want to win that photo?
Well, it's. I didn't say it was a big win. If it was a photo for last, he won it by finishing last.
He did win it for last, yeah. Night Quick, the other Brad Cox runner, though, with the win. Nullify runs good here, stretching back out for Dwayne Lucas with Rafael Bejarano as we get a quick look at Tampa Bay Downs, race 7. Meant for the grass. They're off the turf, as we told you earlier. $16,000 maiden claiming race. Quite a few scratches with the surface switch, and here's Barfly.
Yeah, I felt like Barfly was one of the 2 major contenders in this race. The problem is he's just had so many chances.
Next door, double-digit odds on Adios Joe.
The best thing you can say about him is he's a big price and he hasn't failed that many times. And while he finished behind a couple of players in here, he's lightly raced, so maybe he has a little room to move forward.
There he is, Vernon Bush.
He's got a lot of room to move forward, but the question is, will he?
Yes, he does. Here's the 5, 32-1. This is Noble Hero.
His only one dirt race was just absolutely atrocious.
It did not run really at all that day, and that was for this level on a race taken off the turf as well. Gut Instinct, 7-2.
Well, I don't understand why this guy is 7-2 and the 3 is 13-1. I'm not a huge fan of either one, but if I had to bet one, I'd take the 3 at 4 times the price.
0 for 12. This is the 6-5 favorite, Braggadocious.
I mean, it's deja vu all over again, right? Much like the 8 at Oaklawn, he's lost his last 2 races at odds on. Brutal losses, too.
Yeah, including 1-5. 2 starts back.
Right.
Prince Ghost at 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a wild card in this race, right? He lost to the 7 last time, but I think he's a viable alternative.
First-time starter, Mr. Charlie.
Obviously a Grateful Dead fan naming this horse, even though he's an Adios Charlie. It's a well-known Dead song.
And then also eligible, drawing in, instigating, who was 0 for 10.
The best thing to say about him is he's primarily been running on the dirt, if you call what he's been doing running.
It's only hit the board once in his career, and that was a very, very distant third.
You know, Rajiv is supposed to be there for us tomorrow. He really should have come today, don't you think?
Yeah, Rajiv Mirage will be on site at Tampa tomorrow, so we look forward to that. Hope we get that opportunity to have plenty of talk back with him.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, abuse back, whatever you want to call it. I look forward to any time I get to talk to Rajiv. It's a great man.
That's your partner.
Rajiv has been a close friend for many, many years. He's a wonderful person and a lot of fun to work with.
All right, loading up for the 7th here. Mile 16th taken off the grass. $16,000 maiden claiming race. Even money on a 5-year-old who is 0 for 12 here. That's the 7, Braggadocious. Jason Beam with the call.
In the gate. And the race is on. Adios Joe toward the inside out well. Here's Gut Instinct between horses, and Gut Instinct going to go to the front. Prince Ghost going to go right with that one, though, and those two hook up in the early proceedings as they run toward that first turn. They've quickly opened up 2. On Braggadocious instigating, they're out 3rd and 4th. In behind horses, Adios Joe, who broke sharply, settles 5th. Barfly is back in the 6th position. After that comes Mr. Charlie, who's second last, and Noble Hero is the trailer as Prince Ghost is the leader. Prince Ghost takes him to the back stretch in front by almost 3 now to Gut Instinct in second. 23 and 4 the opening quarter-mile time as they settle in for that run down the back stretch. It's Prince Ghost. The lead is now down to 2. Gut Instinct in the 2nd position. Out wide, Braggadocious, the favorite, traveling nicely 3rd, inching forward toward the stablemate leader. It's another length then back to Adios Joe, who's 4th. Barfly 5th in the red cap, about 5.5, 6 off the top. It's 2 more to Noble Hero. The 2 at the back are instigating in Mr. Charlie. 48 and 2 for the opening half-mile time. They have 3.5 furlongs to go, and it's still Prince Ghost who they got to catch. Prince Ghost to the 3/8 pole in front by 2.5. Braggadocious set sail after that one from second. Barfly starting to warm up. Here's Barfly on the outside now up to 3rd. Goes by Gut Instinct, who's back 4th. But meanwhile up front, they got to come catch Prince Ghost. Prince Ghost around to the quarter pole. The lead is still 2.5 or 3. Braggadocious, Barfly, they're 2nd and 3rd. They're 5 clear now of Gut Instinct and Adios Joe. Prince Ghost turns them in. Prince Ghost off the turn in front by 2.5. Trying to get closer now is Braggadocious from the 2nd spot. Barfly down the outside. A final 1/16 of a mile for Prince Ghost. Prince Ghost still there by 2. Braggadocious is 2nd. Barfly 3rd. Prince Ghost, a riding double for Melissa Iorio. Prince Ghost by 2.5. Braggadocious completes the Kathleen O'Connell exacta. 3rd was Barfly, 4th Adios Joe, and 5th Gut Instinct.
The other Kathleen O'Connell horse with the win at the better price here in the 7th at Tampa, Prince Ghost.
I don't know. I feel like this has been like maiden claiming gambling 101 so far in the 2 show races we've shown. To have had 2 preposterous odds-on favorites in a row, both 2 horses in a row off double losses at odds-on, and to be able to bet against them. Would you find the winner? Well, this one was lightly raced, not that surprising.
And Kathleen O'Connell 1-2 in there, and the better price wins for her. Back at Oaklawn, Nyquick. Brad Cox, he'll have, again, the morning line favorite in the 2 stakes coming up later today. With Nash in first mission, Nyquick breaks his maiden on the drop down here.
Are you aware it's College Day giveaway at Oaklawn today? There's 5 winners. They have 10 minutes to get the booth. Other than that, if they don't get there in time, LaDuca gets whatever it is. Don't you think?
He'll go back to school?
Well, you know.
Rodney Dangerfield style?
Yeah. That would be like a back to school with Paulie playing the Rodney Dangerfield character. Believe me, I'd be first in line. Nyquick obviously put that bad loss in the slot behind him and got it done on the front end.
Christian Torres with the victory. He keeps racking up wins in Hot Springs. 4-2-6, 44 to 1 shot there. Closing out that trifecta.
Back to school, one of the great all-time great movies, by the way, in my opinion. Not as big a fan as me.
Very good, very good. All-time greats?
All-time great fun comedies. Like not great.
I agree with that.
Cinema.
$12,000 claiming race, non-winners of 2 life. 6 furlong sprint coming up in this one. Fillies and mares 3 and up. Betting board wide open. Chip shortage though right now. The favorite off a 2nd place finish at the same level.
He did run reasonably well in there. A good trip. I think there's some others though, particularly the one Risky Spirit, who had a much tougher trip.
All right, we'll talk more about it when we come back. Short timeout. We'll return. We just saw Kathleen O'Connell with the exacta at Tampa. We'll tell you about 3 other rising stars who have arrived in the sport and the impact they have made on this game that has changed it forever going forward. Stay with us.
Spun to run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
95, 5, 200, 200 down, 2, in the back, Patrick, 200,000, thank you.
Spun to run, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Clayburn Farm.
With you on America's Day at the Races. Saturday card at Aqueduct canceled, moved to Sunday. Terrific card though at Oaklawn, and action from Tampa Bay Downs on our Saturday coverage here on Fox Sports 2. When we get back to action on Sunday, likely going to hear some of these names as well. 2023 was a year unlike any other we have witnessed in the sport of horse racing. History was made, barriers were broken, thanks to 3 prominent leading ladies rewriting what's possible on the racetrack.
The rise of women in racing has been undeniable, and there may have not been a better year for female trainers than 2023. Jenna Antonucci brought Peter Pan Stakes winner Arcangelo into a wide-open and competitive Belmont Stakes with the hopes of a big run from the son of Arrogate. What she got was a magical moment in history.
Arcangelo is fiercely determined. He has jettisoned National Treasure. Forte's coming right. Oh, he's got a chance. Forte coming out the outside, trying to catch Arcangelo. He couldn't do it. Arcangelo has won.
It wasn't the only shining mark for Arcangelo and Antonucci. The colt went on to win the Travers and was named Champion 3-year-old. Linda Rice has always been a force to be reckoned with on the Naira circuit. Even with multiple Grade 1 wins and meet training titles, Rice accomplished something no one has ever done in New York.
George's Vice, active lane. It's a Linda Rice exacta. It's Linda Rice, 165 wins on the New York Racing Association circuit.
165 wins in a single calendar year, a feat no trainer has ever reached until now. Brittany Russell also made history inside New York and in Maryland. In just her 4th full season as a trainer, Russell became the first horsewoman to be crowned leading trainer in a calendar year in Maryland. Her shining accomplishment came with her first Grade 1 victory when Doppelganger upset the Carter Handicap in April.
Doppelganger's trying to pull it off. Doppelganger on the grandstand side. Doppelganger, the longest shot on the field, wins the Carter.
2023 was a year to remember for women in racing. The possibilities are endless for what may come next.
Really incredible what we witnessed last year, and to see that streak from meet to meet to meet. Linda Rice continuing to win training titles, and the way she did it at the very last race to tie Chad Brown at Saratoga to keep that streak alive, incredible. But Jenna Antonucci, first female trainer in the history of this sport to win a Triple Crown event. way too long coming, but incredible achievement.
Well, you know, it also is, racing is a question of opportunity, along with obviously talent and training. But it's great to see a woman, in this case Jenna, getting the opportunity to have a horse. And in this case, she sort of had to get a horse that had a lot of pedigree that sold for about $12. I mean, he had $1 million pedigree and sold for $35,000. And she gets a chance with this horse and gets the job done. And women are an integral part of society everywhere you turn, all our lives, but also in racing. But not necessarily on the front line, not the trainers, not the ones listed in the program, not the ones that get all of the credit in these cases. But they have so much to do with success behind the scenes. And to see them get the opportunity and make the most of it, in this case, Jenna got a horse that, you know, in a lot of cases might have sold for a lot of money, and she wouldn't have trained the horse in all likelihood. But because of the situation, they got the horse, and she showed, given the right horse, she can do just as well as anybody else, and she really did with those Belmont and Travers win. And as far as Linda Rice, to me, aside from all of the accomplishments involved winning those races, winning those titles, when they changed the rules because of you, as they did with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he went into college and they outlawed the dunk, and in Kentucky, they changed the rules in the claiming game because she went there. The first time she went, she failed, and they all made fun of her. Then she went and she was successful, and then she was really successful, and then they changed the rules. Linda wins because she's smart and she knows how to play this game, and she dedicates her life to it. She's not the only one, but her dedication is really what's brought her to the top.
And those rules you're talking about, that's her having so much success going to Kentucky, claiming horses, and then bringing them quickly back. And Kentucky's trying to say we want to keep some of our horses there because she's done so incredibly well with that maneuver. It was a really fun story to see her just continuing to win on the circuit and wind up as in a tie for the most wins ever in a single season on this NYRA circuit. Just incredible accomplishment.
Amazing. And as far as Saratoga, it's not the first title she's won, first of all. That should be noted. And she tied Chad Brown. Did we have a lot of rain that probably hurt Chad a little bit and helped her? Yeah. So what? She was ready for it in a way. She's prepared for that situation. And she also doesn't have the same arsenal of horses that Chad Brown has. They both won. It's not as though Chad had a bad meet or anything, but for Linda to do it, and I think Linda will be the first one to say, yeah, I'm going to need some things to break well for me to beat somebody like Chad Brown or Todd Pletcher in that situation. But she was there to take advantage of it, and it's not an easy thing to do because everybody has the opportunity. She's just able to get there.
It made that meet, just keeping an eye on that. Whenever you have something come down to the wire, jockey standings, trainer standings, it just makes it more fun for the fans to try and follow that and see how it plays out. It could not have played out with any more drama. I don't know. I can't remember ever in a meet.
She was dead. She was like a team that was pesky and sort of fighting the whole way and staying within 3 or 5 points, and then sort of falls behind by 13 with 2 minutes to go. I said you was over.
Her dead several times.
I said you was over. Like 2 or 3 times it was over. Linda and I are good friends. It's not as though I wasn't River do well. I'm friends with Chad Brown as well. But I think it was great for the game. I think it's fun. The competition. One of the things that's so much fun in Saratoga is the competition, where it's the riders, the trainers, and everybody, because everybody so much wants to win there. People don't necessarily remember who wins too many meets in those titles, but they remember in Saratoga.
Yeah, they do.
And as a kid growing up, I remember Angel Cordero's dominance up in Saratoga. And unless you were there, and I know a lot of you were, you can't really understand what a big deal Angel was in Saratoga.
Well, that's why they now call that award the Angel Cordero Award when you win that riding title.
As they should.
Yeah, at the Spa. I want to remind everyone, 19% increase in New York bred maiden purses coming in 2026, so it has never paid like it has now to have the New York bred. Never been a better time. For information on how to qualify your foal, visit NYRA.com/NYBreds. All right, we're going to get back to Tampa. You know, we just had that story on these dominant female trainers. Linda Rice, she's still chasing this trainer for the most wins all time among females, Kathleen O'Connell, who was 1-2. In the race we just saw.
I think Linda will catch her.
She will.
Doesn't mitigate how well Kathleen O'Connell has done, and maybe she's not a household name in New York. But when I went to Florida in the mid-'90s and was playing full-time, when I first really went there in '94, she was one of the trainers I picked up on pretty quickly, that she was good with first-time starters and kind of a sneaky under-the-radar trainer. She's been winning and doing well for many, many years.
Prince Ghost The better price of the two from the barn, beating Braggadocious, who gets beat at 4-5 here, 8-7, 1-3.
0 for 12 with 2 consecutive losses at odds on, and people bet Braggadocious at 4-5. Wow.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back with more from Tampa and from Oaklawn. The 5th race approaching the 5-minute mark to post. 6 furlong sprint. Coming up when we return, Chip Shortage. One of your favorites for the Tim Martin barn. It was just second at this level back on March the 8th. Well, the post parade when we come back. Back with you on our Saturday coverage, Fox Sports 2, America's Day at the Races. As we get set for the 5th from Oaklawn coming up, $12,000 claiming race. Horses who have not won 2 lifetime in a 6 furlong sprint. We start off with Risky Spirit in our post parade.
Of the horses coming out of the 6th race in March 8th, he's the one I would want. I thought he had a much tougher trip than Chip Shortage.
Yeah, had a tough time out of the gate and only missed by a nose behind Chip Shortage. Here's the 2 Lofty Heights.
Yeah, he would have to improve dramatically off a dead heat victory at Sam Houston. He's overbet at 6-1.
Steve and son Keith Asmussen teaming up there. Chip Shortage here is the horse who was favored.
I don't understand how he's a shorter price than the one. The only thing I'll say is he is more lightly raced, but if you compare their last race, just based on the last race, the one is a better horse.
Adios muchachas for Ingrid Mason.
I don't think he's going to be saying that to this field.
Wreaking Havoc at 12-1.
He would wreak havoc on this group if he could find his form from earlier in his career. His recent form, not so much. But he is off synthetic races. Mamba out, thank you. I like Mamba out in this race on the drop down for Ron McQuaid. I think that she's the favorite. So there you go. I found her. She's the best races.
Ryan Money's been off since February of last year.
I can't find a race that makes her competitive, Greg.
8-1, Tis Sweet Candy, who last time out showed speed.
She was the speed in the last race, but other than that, where are her races that make her contentious?
Yeah, they do not show up. I'm surprised at that money. And then 28-1 outside Cora Mandel.
A barn that has struggled this meet has a horse that just doesn't look competitive, at least on recent efforts. Maybe the Timonium form gives her, Thistledown form gives her a chance.
Yeah, and Kim Poole, especially early on last year, had some monster upsets that provided a lot of fireworks at the meet. It's been a struggle this time around, though. 30-1 from that outside post. 5th from Oaklawn here. 9-5 favorite. Mamba out as we go to Paulie.
Yeah, guys, we'll start with chip shortage in here, and we'll get you that replay that Andy was talking about on March 8th. And when you go back and you look at it, I'm kind of with Andy. The only issue that you have with the inside horse, Risky Spirit, she draws the 1 hole. And, you know, she's the horse earlier in her career for Scott Becker was the horse that had showed a lot of speed, but for some reason recently in her last 3 starts, she's just gotten dead left. Now, Scott put blinkers on her last time, and you can see like chip shortage and her start running together here at the end, and chip shortage, like Greg said, is just gonna out bob her. And completely with Andy, if I was gonna take a horse out of the race, it would be Risky Spirit. But no pun intended, the risky part is I wish that this horse, she drew the outside, especially the way she's been breaking second-time blinkers. Now, the outside horse, Mamba, Andy, I'm completely in agreement with you. This is the horse to beat in here, dropping back down for the 12-5. It runs that race 2 back. And, you know, I think Ron Moquette, since he's acquired this filly by More Spirit, he's, you know, he figured her out. You know, she got the W. And, you know, 2 starts back, she was chasing Summer of Mischief around the racetrack, and Risky Spirit, you know, ended running 3rd. So if you put a barometer on that, she should be the favorite in here. I mean, they were well clear of the 3rd place finisher that day at about 4.5 lengths. So I do think Mamba Out is the horse to beat. I think a better proposition even at 9-5 and 1-3. But I'm gonna mention one other horse. Adios Muchachas could be the speed of the speed. And I think that horse could be dangerous since nobody wants to go to the front end, Greg.
That's the 5 with Ramon Vasquez at a number. We'll see if she does that to the field. And it's send from the gate. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 5th from Oaklawn.
We're ready to go. And let off. Awkward break from Rye Money, who had to tap on the brakes right out of the gate and drops to the back of the pack. Adios Muchachas has the most natural early speed, leads by a length. Mamba Out takes the 2nd spot. Chip Shortage moves inside of her. Then Coro Mandel, Risky Spirit, Lofty Heights there together, and they're 4 lengths off the leaders down the backstretch. A gap of 2 back to another pair. Wreaking Havoc, Tis Sweet Candy, and Rye Money kept on the outside after the slow break is last right now and is 7 lengths off the lead as the 9 fillies and mares charge into the far turn. The pacemaker, Adios Muchachas, went the opening quarter in 22-2. Adios Muchachas around the turn, a half length in front. Mamba Out getting closer. Chip Shortage getting shuffled back at the rail behind horses. Has a little run, though. On the far outside, Wreaking Havoc has made an early move towards the lead. Coro Mandel has given way. Chip Shortage finds a seam, gets to the outside for the final 3/16. Mamba Out's in front. Mamba Out, Wreaking Havoc. Chip Shortage far outside, kicking it in now. Furlong to go. Mamba Out, Wreaking Havoc. Chip Shortage on the outside. Chip Shortage going to the lead. Chip Shortage pulling clear to win by about 2. Wreaking Havoc was 2nd. Mamba Out 3rd. Risky Spirit 4th.
Chip Shortage, Tim Martinbard, Harry Hernandez, 2nd at this level last start, 1 better today.
Well, he may have gotten the right trip to get 2nd last time, but he got a good trip again today and made the most of it. And a very nice ride to get the job done as well. No excuse really for the 7 Mamba Out, because that horse got outgained by the long shot Wreaking Havoc on the outside. But Chip Shortage got it done. I would not have done well in this race if I had that.
Chip Shortage finishing best, about a length and a half in the end to pick up the 2nd win of her career. Well, the prices for you in a much actually bet back down to favoritism in the end as we return to Tampa. Another beautiful day there as we get set for this very competitive sprint. Even with the scratches, there's some good runners in here like Dr. Oscar, who's very quick. Little Vic, we've seen on this New York circuit in the past, former stakes winner. Graded stakes placed as well. That's Little Vic, the 6 horse at 9-5.
You know, I so much, Greg, I don't know about you, wanted to find an excuse for him in his last start because we've seen him here, so maybe we're a little bit biased, but we know how well he can run. But, I mean, I know it's off a layoff, but he didn't run a step last time. And this race also changed with the scratches. Hurricane J coming out takes a lot of speed out of the race, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really probably helps this horse right here, Dr. Oscar, who is very quick.
I agree. It helps him, but it also helps the 3, the 8-5 favorite. The 2 short prices both get helped by that scratch, and it hurts Little Vic.
Yeah, 8-5 next door. There's the 3 Spike Zone for Jamie Ness.
Jamie Ness not necessarily has been as huge a factor as he could have been. He's only winning a mere 20% at Tampa. Far lower than we've seen him be capable of winning. I thought he was the worst to beat, as does the public.
He's won 3 in a row, Spike Zone. Here's the 4 Roses by Liam.
Comes in from Canterbury, where he hasn't seen him in over 6 months. Where's his race that makes him competitive?
Yeah, Minnesota bred might be up against it here. Here's Little Vic, so a horse owned by Victor Martinez, V-Mart, and has earned over $340,000.
I wish I had seen something last time to suggest that he's a semblance of the horse he once was, but I didn't see it, and I couldn't bet him.
And absolute grit outside. Any chance you see him closing into maybe a hot pace up front?
I'll put it this way. If I was going to try to beat one of the favorites, I'd rather take him at 9-1 and the 6 at 8-5. I understand Little Vic is capable of running well enough, but I just didn't see anything last time. And this guy is a little slower, but he's shown some signs at times. I don't know. He's run well at Tampa.
He's been great at stakes placed in the past as well. That horse right there, though, on a roll. Spike Zone. He'll try and make it 4 in a row. In this 8th from Tampa Bay. When we come back, we're going to take a timeout. 3-year-old picture starting to come into focus. First of those 100-point Kentucky Derby preps happening later today out in the Big Easy. And then it's Hot Springs' turn with Timberlake, the Rebel winner. Can he do it again in their main events on Arkansas Derby Day? We'll be back.
Good Magic is off to a meteoric start at stud, having sired 2 Eclipse Award finalists in first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage and second crop Grade 1 winning 2-year-old Muth. With just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with nearly $10 million in progeny earnings. Mage's graded stakes winning full brother Dornoch is one of the leading contenders for this year's Kentucky Derby. Good Magic, the classic sire.
The cross-country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play every race day. Races are posted weekly at NYRA.com/cross-country.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Zandon's poetry in motion. Big horse, but light on his feet. And he's always showed up and been consistent and been right there with some of the top horses in training. In the Bluegrass Stakes, he showed his determination and his raw ability.
It's over. Zandon wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
I feel breeders will be really blown away by what a striking, outstanding looking horse he is.
Quality at his core.
And Core Beliefs will come on and win it nicely.
By leading sire, Quality Road.
And here is Core Beliefs to take the lead. Core Beliefs on the outside. Here it is. Core Beliefs.
All the best attributes of his sire. A multiple graded stakes winner who's proven at the classic distance with tactical speed and a must-see physical.
It's Core Beliefs who digs his heels in to win the New Orleans Handicap.
Core Beliefs, standing at Walmack.
Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. That is a crowded winner's circle, especially for a non-winners at 2 life claiming race. Chip Shortage as the favorite wins at 2-1 and waiting for an opening. Harry Hernandez finds his spot and then Chip Shortage takes off.
Yeah, an excellent job, an excellent ride here, getting out and getting it done. And good trip or not last time, at least in my mind. The source got the job done today. And a disappointing effort for the drop down. Mambo out. Got back to the level she was at 2 back when she ran a race that you felt could have won this, but not good enough today.
3-6-7-1, Chip Shortage, $6 for the win. Tim Martin Barn, owned by Aaron Heath. Karina Campbell, and again, Harry Hernandez aboard for that winning ride. Race 6, start of the late pick 5, and it is a competitive one. It includes those 2 stakes, the Hot Springs and the Grade 3 Essex Handicap, but it starts here. Non-winners of 2 in a year, $12,000 claiming mile and a 16th race coming up.
Yeah, and Wartime Hero is the heavy favorite right now. It's no real surprise. Does the Wartime Hero in the 11, Leader of Men, look dangerous? Leader of Men's got to come down from that.
No question.
6-1. Yeah, it has to come down.
And WW Crazy going to take plenty of support, too, for Brad Cox.
Very odd to see a Brad Cox claim, huh? He's 0 for 2 stretching out off the dirt, off claims. Probably doesn't claim that much.
We
anymore.
do not see that barn do much of that. He usually got stars in that stable. Back to Tampa. And this 6 furlong sprint coming up, 8-5 favoritism still on Spike Zone. Again, trying to win 4 in a row. Been first or second in 9 of 14 career starts with 6 wins.
Yeah, that's not a bad. It's not a bad record in the last 3 races. Now, I would say that this is a bit of a tougher race, but yeah, I think the figures match up. The last race, sort of on a buyer scale, was kind of a drop down, and we'll see if can do well against what might be a little bit tougher competition.
Back to Dr. Oscar, there's the 2. This horse has a 102 buyer. I know it came at Canterbury, but some huge efforts. The last start may have needed that off the bench. The start before that obviously went to the bench potentially with an issue. Was in the Grade 2 Phoenix before that.
Oh, I mean, he was facing horses last time that are significantly. Nakatomi, who ran a very good race in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Sibelius, who needs no introduction. He ran against much tougher and down the inside, setting that wicked pace. I agree. I'm not sure why he is a significantly higher price than the 3. I mean, let me ask you a question. If he drew outside of the 3, could that help him a little bit? Is the 3 sort of breathing down his neck going to hurt him? But I'm not so sure that he's supposed to be 5-2 in the 3, 8-5. I agree with you.
Obviously, the handicappers love to see those W's, those
yes,
wins.
They love the ones.
And there's a lot of them with Spike Zone, especially in a row.
Right. You don't have the recent big efforts, and Dr. Oscar's best race have been at Canterbury, but this is a horse that ran a 97 and 92 buyer last year. I mean, this horse finished second to Sibelius in the Pelican last year. Coming
second to Skelly.
I mean, I don't think he's supposed to be 5-2 and Spike Zone 8-5. I think that I'll tell you something else. Is he supposed to be 5-2 and Little Vic 2-1? Now he's 2-1 and Little Vic is 5-2. They love Little Vic in here. I don't like him at all. I'm gonna say. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he turns it back around because he once was a really nice horse, but I think he's just lost his good form.
Maybe it's the Victor Martinez factor.
You think that's what it is?
Little love for V-Mart.
I didn't even realize that baseball had started. They're playing over in Korea.
Yeah.
And the $300 million Angels pit, the Japanese pitcher got shelled, didn't make it out of the first inning.
Some other big news with him as well.
No, that's the other one. That's the $700 million guy. There's some big news with him, too. Dodgers, excuse me. Yes, the Dodgers, excuse me. The one with the big payroll, right?
Yes. 8-5 favorite. Spike Zone for Jamie Ness. I'm interested, too, just in this race to see this battle up front with those 2 inside horses.
I'll tell you one thing. The 2 is fast.
I think
so
yeah,
the 3 wants to keep up with him. They're going fast. And if the 2 breaks and the 3's in front of him, he's probably going too fast. Because the 2 is very, very quick.
Which brings maybe the one you talked about on the outside back into play.
He does.
Absolute grit.
And I think that's one of the reasons he's come down. A lot of people are looking at it and saying, well, Little Vic is the obvious closer. And maybe in some ways he is, except that you have to really wonder if his recent form is that good. And at least Absolute Grit's recent form is good enough that if the 2 and 3 get into a cutthroat battle, then maybe he's the one that's most likely to pick up the pieces. A bit of a chess match here. A small field, but a chess match nonetheless. So where's the alligator in all of this?
He was in our open. I'm sure we'll have plenty of shots of him to come.
He only does the big parts, right? He only the opens, like stakes. He comes out.
We made a contract offer to him. We could only get a few shots.
Yeah, he's tough. Yeah. So alligators tend to, they kind of put up a good
He has to
tussle.
be one of the most famous shots in racing.
He's definitely the most famous alligator in racing, at
really
least in
is.
America. I can't speak for other jurisdictions.
So loading up, we're going to see Dr. Oscar move into that first post position. The 2 horse inherits the rail here, 9-5 now.
Can you hire him to come, for big days or something? Bring him up or something.
You could share an office with him. I feel like you guys would really get along.
He would balk at that, actually.
3-2 favorite, Spike Zone the 3. Can he make it 4 straight wins for the Jamie Ness barn? Jason Beam the call.
For owner Peter Mattson. Little Vic, Carlos Olivero had a double yesterday for the same connections. Little Vic comes up. Little Vic's actually a little ways away from the starting gate. Little Vic, of course, ran in the Sam F. Davis and I believe the Tampa Bay Derby 2 years ago. Absolute Grit, Angel Arroyo to the Outside draw, just about set for a start. The late daily double. Is Little Vic not in yet? Little Vic continues to back away. Now Little Vic goes in. Absolute Grit, Angel Arroyo to complete the line. Lamb Home South, a race of the week here. And late double on a Saturday, Florida Cup Day Eve. Again, Florida Cup tomorrow, 12 races. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Dr. Oscar got out quickly. Spike Zone going to try up and battle with that one. But Dr. Oscar quicker here in the early going. Dr. Oscar 3/4 in front of Spike Zone, a clear second. 2 more back to Little Vic. It's another 2 then Absolute Grit on the outside. And another 3 back to Roses by Liam, who trails his stablemate by about 7 lengths. As Dr. Oscar sprints toward the half-mile pole, the lead still 3/4 to right about a length. Spike Zone in second. Those 2 through that opening quarter mile. They go to the far turn. 22-2 the opening quarter time. Dr. Oscar the lead down to a half length now. Spike Zone presses closer on the outside, and Spike Zone right up alongside, and Spike Zone pokes ahead in front. Dr. Oscar has to keep up with that one toward the inside and is now doing so. These 2 on relatively level terms. Just in behind them, Little Vic waiting in the wings from back in third. It's 4 more then back to Absolute Grit and still trailing Roses by Liam. To the top of the stretch they come. Spike Zone and Dr. Oscar. These 2 face up to the top of the lane. Spike Zone just in front. Dr. Oscar, Little Vic trying to pick them up. Absolute Grit's making some inroads from back and forth. Draws within 3.5. Dr. Oscar and Spike Zone. Here comes Little Vic right down the outside, though. Little Vic has some serious momentum, and Little Vic going to draw away easily at the end. Carlos Olivero poses for the picture. Little Vic by 2. Dr. Oscar was second, third. Spike Zone fourth. Went to Absolute Grit.
Little Vic, owned by Victor Martinez, trained by Juan Avilo. Back to some of the best form we've seen from him.
Well, I'm going to say that he needed to start off a layoff because he didn't do any running there. Perfect trip or not today, and this is the very definition of a perfect trip. He was able to swoop by and get it done. Oh, he's in a good spot. Won pretty easily. Not a bad effort by Dr. Oscar. Ended up the even money favorite. He just couldn't hold up Little Vic, and I don't know if this is the best Little Vic we've seen, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So congrats to his connections.
Prices when we come back. We'll talk Road to the Derby. Heading through the Big Easy. Grade 2 Louisiana Derby to come later today. We'll hear from Chad Brown, who has Tuscan Gold off that big maiden win lining up. back on our Saturday program, America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Do not miss the third and final leg of this year's Triple Crown. It will be something that I promise you, have never seen before. It will be held at Saratoga this year to close out the Triple Crown at 1.25 miles. Get your tickets to be part of that incredible week of racing for the Belmont Stakes Festival at belmontstakes.com/tickets.
Everywhere I go, I went to the Duke game last night, actually, the basketball game. I was talking to one of the guys we're sitting with, and the first thing he said was, I can't wait for the Belmont in Saratoga. Just people are excited, and rightfully so. Look at it.
It's gonna be just wild to have a Triple Crown event at that historic race course. Upcoming Road to the Derby, first of the 100-point races taking place today with the Jeff Ruby Stakes and Louisiana Derby. And then Arkansas Derby, Florida Derby, and Wood Memorial here in New York to come. And by then, we should have a very clear picture of what we think will transpire that first Saturday in May. Louisiana Derby, mile 3/16, Preakness distance for this $1 million Derby prep, full field lining up. And we'll see if Track Phantom can finish taking them gate to wire today for Steve Asmussen.
He's a terrific horse, and I in no way want to sort of knock him per se. And Triple Espresso, I assume, is running at the Jeff Ruby Stakes later today as well. The problem I have with him in general is his fire speed figures, while gaudy, they're the same every race. He's not getting better. And these horses are going to have to get faster at some point, and he's not really showing it. And you usually see Steve Asmussen's horses do just that. You also have to wonder, is he a horse that's had a lot of speed, but he's going to be in a race one of these days with a ton of pace? Is he going to get better with more distance? He's a really nice horse. I just wonder if at the end of the day, he's going to be ultimately a Triple Crown contending type horse.
And these were fairly slow fractions when he got beat, but his trainer, Steve Asmussen, believes going faster might actually help him because he has such a high cruising speed.
Well, he can tell Joel to open up and go like 22, 4, 45, and 3 and see how that goes.
See what happens.
I think it would be the last time Joel rides him, but he could try.
Meanwhile, common defense for Kenny McPeak. He was second to Timberlake in the Grade 2 Rebel at Oaklawn. Brian Hernandez Jr. will be back aboard.
Well, if you're Brian Hernandez, you got to ask yourself, what do I do for an encore? Because you can't ride a horse any better than he rode this horse in the Rebel. This was a sensational ride, and there are times that jockeys earn their money because it's a dangerous game, but they're along for the ride on a good horse, perhaps being the case for Torres on the winner Timberlake. But this was a great ride by Brian Hernandez, who consistently shows up with good rides. What is he going to do, though? Is he really going to improve in that performance? Can he possibly even get the same trip today? I'm just glad this race being run on a dry track today.
6-1 morning line on common defense, and then you have Chad Brown, who has one of the leading contenders for the Derby with Sierra Leone. Stablemate faced him first time out, got beat, and then he comes back and runs huge at Gulfstream to break his maiden. Here's Chad Brown on Tuscan Gold facing Stakes Company for the first time.
He's a horse that I thought a lot of last year. He actually debuted with Sierra Leone, had a bit of a tough trip, came back and won impressive at Gulfstream, and that horse is really looking for more distance sooner than later. So I decided to send him to Louisiana. He is lacking some experience, only running twice, but 1 mile 3/16 really appealed to me. It's what that horse wants to do, and I find that with these 3-year-olds, it's who wants to do it right now in March. You know, there might be a lot of them in this crop that want to do it by the summer, but if he can sort of beat horses to the punch and be able to handle 1 mile 3/16 before some of the other horses of this crop, he may be at an advantage on Saturday down there. We'll see.
Big step up, but a horse who has earned it a little behind the 8 ball in terms of playing catch up with some of these other 3-year-olds right now.
Yeah, I felt like a deja vu watching that because I actually spoke to Chad Brown earlier in the week. We were talking about this horse a little bit, and basically what he said, you know, when we were talking first about Sierra Leone, we were talking about the talents, a horse like Deterministic who ran so well in the Gotham, and talking about distance. And it's always the discussion, right? Who's going to be best the distance? A lot of times it ends up being who the best horse is, particularly. But Sierra Leone feels like a horse that's going to be effective at the longer distances, and clearly this horse Tuscan Dole does as well, but it is a big ask, and whether or not even if he's effective in here, he ends up going to the Derby or pointing more towards the Preakness, we'll see. He's a pretty good horse. I'm interested to see what he does, but he's going to have to get better and get better with distance.
Tyler Gaffleone back aboard off that dominant maiden win at Gulfstream. That is coming up later today. You can boost your Kentucky Derby bankroll. Bet $50 to win Louisiana Derby today. Get $20 for your Kentucky Derby play. All you have to do, opt in.
Who's making that racket here? We're alone. What's going on?
At NyraBets.com, we've sprung a leak in the building.
It's heat. I didn't ask for it, but I'm not unhappy.
So get that free $20 in your account with that Derby bankroll builder. Take a timeout.
Showing the Gator in Tampa feed.
Ooh, he's staring right at you, too. We got more coming up at Oaklawn. Start of the late pick 5 is next. And there is Brad Cox, a rare claim for one of the best barns in the country. WW Crazy. Florent Giroux will ride. We'll have the post parade when we come back.
Daredevil, returning to stud on U.S. soil. The only first crop sire to see 2 offspring win the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes in the same year. She dares the devil, taking the Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 2 Azeri Stakes, and champion Swiss Skydiver, winning the Preakness and the Grade 1 Beholder Mile Stakes. With more exciting prospects on the track and multiple 6-figure sales in the ring, Daredevil's career is just getting started, only at Lane's End.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NyraBets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NyraBets.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Late pick 5 coming up in the 6th here at Oaklawn. Includes that Hot Springs and the Grade 3 Essex Handicap. Mile and a 16th here to start it for horses who've not won 2 in the last year. Cyclone kicks off the post parade.
Yeah, I should probably get my my PPs in order. I've got so many days of Oaklawn in front of me. I'm kind of losing my way. I think Cyclone, you know, a horse that's a barn that's been struggling, I should say.
Make Noise has at least one race that makes him interesting.
I agree, but these are 2 barns that are struggling mightily at the meet, though I think the Klein barn finally won a race.
Get back Goldie, blinkers on.
Yeah, and does drop down second time off a claim. Going to have to improve, though, off the recent efforts.
Toma Toto, take away the last 2 starts on wet tracks, should be one of the favorites.
I agree, but was it just the wet tracks, or did the horse fall apart a little bit off the claim? That's the concern.
There's the claim from Brad Cox, WW Crazy, 5-2 went by.
Yeah. He's obviously dangerous just in the switch.
And here's wartime hero for Steve Asmussen.
I thought this horse would be sitting outside of Toma Toto and was kind of the horse to beat.
Colosi 25-1.
Yeah, I guess maybe the race 2 back gives a chance to be competitive.
The 10, Francisco Arrieta on Canadian Pharaoh.
Yeah, wasn't a big fan of Canadian. I just thought a little bit.
All his wins on synthetic.
He's just a better synthetic horse. Last race not bad, but I think not good enough.
And a lot to like with this horse.
I agree. I mean, this is a very, very logical horse. Did he move a little soon last time, do you think? I don't love the horses that beat him, but I wondered if he moved a little soon. His race 2 back would make him very tough.
9-2 for the Ron Moquette barn. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you guys. I really saw this race with 3 horses, and I'm not going to give you anything special. We'll start with the 7 in here, Wartime Hero, and he's definitely the horse to beat. I don't care whatever metric you use. He's really good on my numbers, too. The one thing you got to worry about Wartime Hero, he needs this right here. If you look at his PPs, he has to get to the front end by the far turn. he kind of grinds away a little bit, but you look at all of his W's, he's gotten to the front and in the turn, and then he gets brave. He can show speed, like Andy said, and maybe lay right outside of Tomatodo, the 5 in here. And then, you know, then he's going to start competing. But when you look at his numbers, he really does stand out on that format, but he doesn't like to win his races by much, but he's always right there. So I think he's obviously the barometer. Now, the 11 horse on the outside in here, Leader of Men, is right there when you come to numbers-wise. I was a little bit worried about the post position, but you do get 2 scratches in. Your worry with Leader of Men is, you keep seeing the same movie, 77, 77, 76 buyer, but the race 2 back, he was really unlucky to lose that head, Bob. He is 7 for 46 lifetime, and at 8 years old, you can argue he's kind of rounding back into form. Now, you know, this was on the kind of they had it labeled as good. It was a little bit more sloppy. He kind of idles when he hits the front. He has to be kind of timed perfectly, but he belongs in this group. I just don't know. I think he's a better proposition than the 6, put it that way. WW Crazy. You know, horse stretching back out. You know, you made a good point, Brad, excuse me, Greg. Brad Cox doesn't claim a lot of horses, but he's claiming one here for State and Fleury. And the Fleury stables here, they claim this horse for 20 and drop for 12.5. I just don't see it anyway. I mean, I know there's could be a giddy up in the Brad Cox barn, but this horse is going to have to move up for me to go buy the 7, and the 7 at 8 to 5 to 5 to 2. Now, if the 7 was 4 to 5 and the 6 was like 7 to 2, it'd be a different ball game. But the 7 at 8 to 5, I actually think that's an actually good gamble.
All right, Paulie, that's Team Asmussen, Steve's son Keith with Wartime Hero, the 8 to 5 favorite. But this horse for Brad Cox, yeah, taking plenty of support. These connections teamed up, State and Fleury, Brad Cox to win a Kentucky Oaks a few years ago.
And he's stretching the horse out where he's routed before and run respectable figures, and maybe that's what he saw. But, I mean, this is, for what it's worth, a meaningless stat probably. 2 for 6 stretching horses out off the claim on dirt with a $1.07 ROI. He's 0 for 2 at Oaklawn, including a second-place finish at 3 to 5. The other was 4th at 9 to 2. I just find it's a curious claim, and he claims the horse and drops it down. I don't know. Let me put it this way. Obviously, it's going to be in Brad Cox's barn, but all things considered, he's not really a claiming type trainer, right? It's not a trainer you think of that train. Is he getting overbet because of that? Because shouldn't the 11 be second choice here?
I fully agree with that, yes.
That's my feeling. I just feel like 5 to 2 is an underlay. You know, everything's about price. I mean, we talk about Little Vic. Somehow he went up at 9 to 2. I wouldn't have said don't play him at 9 to 2. He was a much shorter price. At 5 to 2, I think he's an underlay, and I think the 11 horse in this race from Ron McQuett, Leader of Men, is an overlay.
Bit of a tough post because that turn comes up pretty quick.
I agree, and that may be where you're getting punished for that a little bit, or maybe you're getting rewarded if he gets the job done.
Matt Dinnerman with the call. Late pick 5 starts here with a 6th from Oaklawn.
Mile and a 16th. We're ready to go. And Leroff Cyclone was off sluggishly. Tomatodo up on the pace. Get Back Goldie shaken up, takes the second spot. Leader of Men tucking over to run in third stock in the pace. Make Noise on the fence, the gray horse approaching the turn. Then comes Wartime Hero running in midfield. WW Crazy getting shuffled back off of heels. He's down on the fence, 4 lengths off the lead, tugging just a little bit. Now settling down. He's 2 ahead of Colosi, Canadian Pharaoh. Second to last, slow starting Cyclone is the trailer with 3/4 of a mile to go. The pacemaker, Get Back Goldie on the inside. Tomatodo hounding him from the outside, a half length back. Make Noise third and getting closer as the rail opened up. Yep, it's opened up for Make Noise to come through and challenge Get Back Goldie. And these two are now even. Make Noise on the inside with an early move to the front. Now leads by about a half length, 3/4 of a length. Get Back Goldie second. Tomatodo now stalking third. Leader of Men between horses. He's getting closer with WW Crazy who follows him. First 5 are tightly clumped up, separated by 2 lengths into the turn. Wartime Hero right behind him. Now he's 4 behind, under pressure around the far turn. A gap of 4 to Colosi. Cyclone and Canadian Pharaoh At the back together, WW Crazy catches the eye. He's behind horses in the black and white, but right now he's got nowhere to go. Can he find a way out of traffic? WW Crazy, Tomato gets the jump on him. Tomato off the turn, putting away Make Noise, who's done. WW Crazy finds the seam, and here comes WW Crazy. Leader of Men trying to move with him, but WW Crazy has the lead. Wartime Hero, Leader of Men, second and third. WW Crazy now finds his best stride, puts this race to bed, and it's WW Crazy to win it. Wartime Hero was second, third home Leader of Men. Make Noise holds fourth.
WW Crazy, Brad Cox off the claim for Staten Fleury with Florent Giroux.
And he went down a 9-5 co-favorite in post time, and he got a, if Florent got himself into a potentially difficult spot because he was behind the 3, who was 100 to 1 or 39 to 1, then the 4, and he was getting kind of backed up, and the 11 kind of had him in his pocket. But then the Red Sea parted the stretch, and he came between and was much the best off the claim for Brad.
And this horse doesn't want to sprint. That's what he had been doing.
Yes,
Brad Cox claims immediately stretches him out, gets the win at 9-5. Back to Tampa. Little Vic sitting off a pretty hot pace up front. Sets up very nice for him, but he runs big too.
Yeah, no, he did. He ran very well, but he got an absolute dream trip in here as they were moving up front, as we kind of expected. But more importantly, he showed up. Just because you get a good trip doesn't mean you're going to show up. And he did not run well at all last time after having tailed off before the layoff. And he showed up again today. We know what he can do. And at $11, it's a little bit different talking about $11 than the 2 to 1 that we were talking about him, because the odds really shift in the late stages at Tampa.
Cannot believe he floated up to that price. Again, owned by former Major League All-Star Victor Martinez, trained by Juan Avila. Rose Olivero aboard for the winning ride. 6th career win for this 5-year-old son of Practical Joke in this competitive 8th from Tampa Bay. There's Andy's new roommate.
Yeah.
Office mate.
There's room. I don't think we'd have a problem. I wrestled alligators, back in my day.
I had heard.
Yeah.
9th from Tampa.
Before I put on a little weight.
9 winners of 2 life in this 6 furlong sprint coming up. This is Happy Ride.
Yeah. Sorry, let me shift my pages around. I thought Happy Ride was a contender in this race, off a trainer change. A little interesting at a price.
5-year-old debut coming in from Penn National, this 5-year-old mare. Senna, the Duchess, a little harder to make a case for.
That would be an understatement.
1 for 29 lifetime. The win did come last time out.
I don't think if your name is Senna, you're betting this horse. The 15 buyer.
Pretty slow race.
Vying for the award for lowest winning buyer of the year.
It's up there. Tovia for Jorge Delgado.
Seems like a relatively logical horse, but is 1 for 13 and 3 to 1 is the speed, though, and could be a fast pace.
Devra Warrior was just a distant third at this level.
Yeah, didn't run that badly. I mean, these are all 1-fers. This one's had 11 chances.
Panola, win came at Tampa back in December.
Big price if you like her, but I don't.
Does drop from 20 down to 8 non-winners at 2. Carson Strong at 9 to 2.
This is a horse I thought was interesting off the claim. A little bit on the slow side, but I thought might be interesting in a new barn.
Here's R.D. Blessing, 1 for 31.
Yeah, I can't endorse 1 for 31, followed by 1 for 28.
Didn't hit the board all last year. Same in 5 starts this year. Bella Romance
has some speed, but it figures to be a quick pace. Don't think she could be part of it.
Adamar Santos on Chris's Motown Gal, the favorite.
Yeah, well, she has that big 60 buyer, which is pretty gaudy in this field. Her recent efforts, not so much. I wouldn't bet this horse is the favorite. I prefer the 6 and the 1. They're my 2 here.
All right, favorite does drop from 16 to 8 for non-winners of 2. 4 minutes to post. In the 9th, we'll have it for you live when we come back from this timeout. You're watching America's Day at the Races on our Saturday Fox Sports 2 coverage. We'll be back. Place everyone wants to be. Winner's Circle. Out in Hot Springs, it's WW Crazy, a very rare claim. Brad Cox has some of the best horses on the planet. Claims this one, though, for $20,000 last time out, and immediately puts in the winner's circle.
Give somebody else a chance, Brad. Come on.
It's not fair, is it?
Well, I don't know. Steve Asmussen claims like 7 horses a day, so I guess Brad's allowed to. It's just you just don't see it that often. You know, I don't know the connections. Maybe they're friends or something. But this horse did run, and as you said, the key was getting this horse to go long. He's a better horse going longer.
No, they've had quite a few horses together, and this is State and Flurry is the one who has the parking lot across the street.
Oh, okay.
They won a Kentucky Oaks together.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, now I got it. Okay.
WW Crazy, $5.60 for the win. And the 6th career win for this 6-year-old by Jess's Dream.
Brad Cox has a potential Kentucky Oaks winner this year in Impel. The horse that we saw that was so impressive a couple of weeks ago. I actually texted Brad. She'll be going to the Ashland.
Okay.
For Juddmonte. And she's going to be a major player. And potentially an interesting Kentucky Oaks horse. The entries for the Florida Derby Day will come out today. I'm interested to see who's entering that Gulfstream Park Oaks. I think that, just FYI, there's probably going to show up in the fantasy at Oaklawn. So I've heard.
The 7th at Oaklawn real quick. Route runner, Steve Asmussen, son Keith. Major player in that race as his single ruler. And then the 10 outside, Funny Uncle. Probably the top 3 you want to look at in that race. We'll talk more about it coming up. Tampa Bay Sunday schedule. We will have our star on site.
Yeah.
Rajiv Mirage.
I'm only going to be on until about 5, so I think it's going to abuse him early. We will not be showing the sophomore filly stakes, but we will be showing the turf stakes. The Naira Bet Sprint is really, it's really one of the highlights of the year, every year. I mean,
our coverage begins 3 Eastern on Sunday, and there's the Naira Bets Sprint, part of that coverage.
Mish on the outside is pretty good. Dean Delivers may have some pretty fast races as well.
Let's take a look at Mish.
Not to be confused with Muth.
The Pelican, in a race we just saw. Little Vic was in this race, came out of it, right? Just won. Sibelius would win this race. Mish just missed by a neck.
Yeah, and I think Sibelius would be favored. Sibelius, if he were in here. He is not. I think having gone over to the Middle East. But Mish should be tough. Listen, Dean Delivers is good. I'm not knocking him. Interesting race.
8-time winner, 6 runner-up finishes, and 27 starts, over $400,000 in earnings for Mish. So that's part of our Sunday coverage coming up from Tampa. As we get back to our Saturday coverage, and 2-1 favoritism to the 3, Tovia. Another Jess's Dream. Jess's Dream passed away. You were there the day he won in Saratoga, though, right? I believe I was, yes. The amazing thing was that Rachel Alexandra's foal in Jess's Dream ran like Zenyatta, right? Yeah. I mean, he made that move. I remember watching the race and thinking, who the heck is that? And then like, oh my gosh, that's the foal. And he unfortunately never ran again. He debuted, for those who don't know, in 1 1/8 up in Saratoga for Stone Street and Kieran McLaughlin. And I mean, he came from the clouds. Yeah, a funny day. Well, the horse that was just claimed by Brad Cox was a Jess's Dream. Tovia here, the 3, a Jess's Dream. Daniel Centeno rides, 2-1 favorite. Let's go to Jason Beam for the call.
And she goes up. They're in the gate. And our race is on. Tovia came away last. A little bit of a tangle there at the back. Good start from the inside. Happy Ride was out quickly between horses Carson Strong and out wide Bella Romance. Those 3 across the course. In the white colors, Scene of the Duchess just in behind them in 4th. Tovia, after the bad beginning, is now rushed up to 5th. Goes ahead of Chris's Motown Gal, who's 6th. Devil Warrior advances from 7th down to the inside. Pinola's back second last. And the trailer's RD Blessing. But up front, it's Happy Ride, the leader. Happy Ride takes him toward the fire turn in front by a length and a half. To Carson Strong out wide. Devil Warrior tugging between horses. Tovia right there in that second flight. 23 seconds, the opening quarter mile. Happy Ride. Here's Carson Strong now. Starting to move up on the outside, and Carson Strong goes up to go to the front. Bella Romance starting to move out 3 deep, trying to follow that move as Happy Ride gets shuffled back. Tovia's back 4th. Devil Warriors drop back. Chris's Motown Gal is 6th. trying to make up ground on the outside. Carson Strong, the leader to the top of the stretch. Happy Ride resurgent down toward the inside, though. Those two past the 8th pole. Just on the outside of them comes Bella Romance down the center of the course. A final 16 to go. Happy Ride is back in front and in command. Happy Ride and Jose Ferrer with something left there came back to win it. Happy Ride rides the rail to a 4-length win. Bella Romance was second. Third was close. It's either Denver Warrior or Carson Strong. Tovia had to settle for 5th.
5-year-old debut coming in from Penn National. Happy Ride, who you had pointed out with the win, 2 for 15 now.
Yeah, gets it done coming in from Penn National. Thought an interesting horse off the layoff for new connections and looked to be hopelessly beaten, right? It felt like number 6 we also mentioned had him beat. Carson Strong, had him beat. This horse came back and, as Jason Beam said, resurgent to an easy win.
It's a great word.
Great word.
We'll have the prices for you when we come back. We will talk Derby Trail rolling through Hot Springs. Their 100-point Derby prep. Arkansas Derby. Can Timberlake go back-to-back and add to that Rebel victory for trainer Brad Cox? We'll have a preview ahead.
They're coming down for the finish, and it is Silver State.
$140,000. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Clayburn Farm.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gun Runner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished 3rd.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
We have a beautiful day for the running of the Arkansas Derby. This Derby has been run at Oaklawn Park actually since 1936, when Hall Image picked up a purse of a little bit better than $4,000 as the winning end of the first Arkansas Derby here at Oaklawn. Well, times have changed.
Today's Arkansas Derby with a purse of $1.5 million.
And they're off in the Arkansas Derby.
We've got the finest horses in America running today, so this purse must tell something.
And they're off in the Arkansas Derby 2004. Smarty Jones leading by 2, and it's Smarty Jones 1 step forward to Kentucky. And they're off in the Arkansas Derby.
It's the Arkansas Derby.
They're off in the Arkansas Derby. He is indeed the ruler, American Pharaoh, breathtaking in a mesmerizing performance as he dominates the Arkansas Derby.
The Arkansas Derby.
Oaklawn is proud to present the field for the 87th running of the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. And they're off. A perfect start to the 87th Arkansas Derby. Angel of Empire wins the Arkansas Derby and wins it clear.
Mr. Charles Sella, who is the president of the Oaklawn Jockey Club, and Charles is the member of the oldest racing management family in the United States. And Charles, this is a proud day for you and everyone associated with this track, isn't it?
It certainly is, buddy, and a very happy Derby Day to you and to all of the people in Arkansas. We're putting on a program here today that I think is the finest racing in America.
Hard to believe our purses have increased so much, but that's getting the very finest horses in all of the country on the way to the Kentucky Derby.
The winner here this afternoon possibly will go on to win the Kentucky Derby.
The Arkansas Derby winner, and his name is...
Some incredible history in the Arkansas Derby, the main event for 3-year-olds. It is coming up with live coverage right here on our FS2 coverage. Saturday, March 30th. We'll be on from 1 to 8 Eastern that day. Lafitte, Paulie, Rajiv, and Maggie all will be on site, and you don't want to miss it.
No, it'll be a fun day, and that's next Saturday. And hopefully, I think the early forecasts look pretty good. Happy to see we're getting preps in nice weather down in Fairgrounds. So hopefully we can get that and let's take a look at Oaklawn.
Look at the probables right here, and obviously
looks good.
That's good news.
Beautiful weather all week. Yeah, all weekend. Said mid-70s.
The one we start with in this race is the Rebel winner for Brad Cox, and that is Timberlake, who proved for the first time in his career that he could win around 2 turns.
Yes, he did. Now he's got to get a 1 1/8. He got a very good trip in here. I have to take another look at all the entries. Wait to see the draw. He's got a serious foe in the winner of the Southwest before him. But he looks good. I'm a big fan of this horse. We'll see how far he wants to go and how effective he is. Picking up Flavien Prat is not going to hurt. Not that Torres did anything wrong last time.
It was a big opportunity for Christian Torres because Florent Giroux was out of town, I believe, riding in Saudi that day.
Yeah, he's
Florent will be in Saudi again.
He will be in Dubai.
Dubai, excuse me.
Yes, he will be in Dubai riding Saudi Crown. That's why it's confusing in the Godolphin Mile.
And so Flavien Prat will get the pickup now on the Rebel winner, Timberlake. So that was his starting point for his 3-year-old campaign. You can't start better than that. Still a little green in the stretch.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
still room to move forward.
They're all works in progress. They're relatively lightly raced. He's got to go farther. He's got to go longer. We'll see what happens. I'm a fan. I think he's a really good horse. Whether or not he's going to win the Derby, I don't know, but looking forward to him in here. But I think I'm also looking to see how well the winner of the Southwest does, Gold Rail or not. He ran a big figure.
Yeah, that's Mystic Dan. Let's go to Paul. Paulie, your thoughts on what we saw from Timberlake and what you think we're going to see in the Arkansas Derby?
Well, we kind of saw what we thought, right? Everybody, going into that race was thinking, okay, Timberlake is the horse to beat off of, good effort in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You can argue he was second best. We've had this argument before if no one was beating fierceness on that day. But I just think he handled business workmanlike, and I don't think the extra distance is going to hurt him. He kind of has that grinding away type of move, a little bit like Angel of Empire. Angel of Empire got an unbelievable setup last time in the Arkansas Derby last year, but you look at his Derby run, he kind of grinded a little bit. He reminds me a little bit of Timberlake, but you made a really good point, Greg. He was wandering a little bit in the stretch when he hit the front end, and then when Christian Torres kind of straightened him out, he kept on going. So I think he's got more improvement in him, which could be scary.
Yeah, if that's the case, as you said, they're all works in progress. If they can straighten him out, if he does want more ground, he's obviously going to be one of the favorites heading into that first Saturday of May, but he's got to show up and he's got to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a great trainer in Brad Cox, and he's a really nice horse. I think Rattle, like any trainer, you see how they do, and you're going to keep taking those steps. You want to get the Derby. You want to be in those Triple Crown races. On the other hand, if he's not, Brad won't have any hesitation in turning him back and running in races like the Woody Stevens, the Alan Jerkins, important Grade 1s, both of which will be run at Saratoga this year. It's a good problem to have. Because he's a really good horse, Timberlake. I don't care where he ends up running.
You talked about potentially his main competition, or one of the main runners who's going to give him some problems, and that is the Southwest winner, who we still need to learn more about, because this huge performance, it came on a wet track for trainer Kenny McPeak with Mystic Dan, but he got a huge number for it.
He did. He got a great trip, but he still got a big figure. And you don't want to just say, oh, he got a great trip, he can't win next time. Because he had run a fast race, I think, very early in his career as well. So it's not as though he had no credentials coming into this race. Yeah, Gold Rail, yeah, it probably propelled him. Maybe he liked the wet track. Fortunately, looks like he'll be getting a dry track on Saturday. But he ran a 101 buyer, and there aren't too many horses out there that have run figures like that. And in a year where Nisos had that 105 and the rest of them are running low 90s at best, it sort of sticks out like a sore thumb. And to just say, oh, he was lucky, he got a good trip on a speed track. I want to see it again, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not one of the players going forward, because he very well may be.
Yeah, and I think as we're going to throw it back to Paul. Paulie, you look at what he did the second start of his career, fast track sprinting at Churchill Downs, where, of course, the Derby's held 96 Spire in just the second start of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, he's ultra talented. I'm with Andy in here. I mean, this horse is definitely in the picture. And, you know, a lot of people are going to skew that last race because obviously it was on a wet track. Well, like I said, it rains sometimes in the first Saturday May. If that happens, they're all in trouble the way he skipped over it. But if you look back to his other races, all of his horses that he's beaten in some of those maiden special weight races, of all the Derby contenders, a lot of his horses that he's beaten have come back to win their races, come back to win maiden special weight. Denrod came back to win. A lot of horses that he's beaten up on, and I actually think he's a real horse. And the other part about this is talking to Ray Briner, his assistant trainer, Kenny McPeak, and Kenny, you know, Mystic Dan and Common Defense, they always thought that Mystic Dan was a little bit ahead of Common Defense. Now, Common Defense comes back and runs a really good race, and we'll see what happens with him in the Louisiana Derby, and that maybe put a little bit of your measuring stick on his stablemate, Mystic Dan.
It's a really exciting horse, and, you know, you just all these 3-year-olds, there's a lot of unknown quantities, but especially just the way the track came up that day, maybe him a little more so than some of the others.
Of course, absolutely. It's very fair to say it's a dress to perform. It's not the wet track, the gold rail, the way he skipped on it. But that doesn't mean that he's not a good horse. In that earlier race shows that he has the talent under different circumstances. And this is just such a fun time of the year because we're just starting to learn about these horses. And it's not like the old days. You don't know these horses well when they get to the Derby. But these final preps, we're going to find out a lot more about some very good and potentially very good horses.
Arkansas Derby Day, 100-point race to the winner to get into that starting gate for the Derby. March 30th, we will have live coverage all afternoon long. As we get back to Oaklawn for the late pick 4, that starts here in this 7th mile on the 16th, 50,000 claiming race for non-winners of 2 life. Here's Redfield.
Yeah, a big price right now. Does have that big figure 2 back and caught a sealed track last time. So I don't like this horse, but kind of interesting based on that race 2 back.
We missed Arlington stretching out for the first time.
Ran a decent figure last time. This is a trainer that does not have great numbers stretching out. Looks like the speed.
Top Barn claims Seas of Normandy.
Yeah, you have to respect this horse off the claim. But you know what? Stretching out in the dirt off a claim, the trainer's 0 for 15 and 0 for 7 at Oaklawn over 5 years.
Father and son, Asmussen's here with Route Runner.
Yeah, I don't love the fact this horse is coming off the long layoff, though, and not good stats for the Asmussen barn off these kind of layoffs.
Here's Magna Tap at a big price, and then Single Ruler, big player with Ramon Vasquez.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely the horse to beat shipping in from out of town. He's run well at a number of tracks. Can he do it at Oaklawn?
Super Renzo, tough to endorse.
Yes, I agree.
Win came at Canterbury Sprinting. I thought Rivetage maybe could get a piece of this.
I like the pronunciation was really good there, Rivetage.
Francisco, thank you. Arietta on board, 17-1.
I didn't like this horse.
I'm Your Man wins first time out at Churchill for Norm Cassie and then struggles start number 2.
Why is he 8-1 and not a much bigger price? He just looks too slow to me.
And then Funny Uncle, 6-1 from the outside.
This is a horse I'm interested in. Now, not great numbers. The barn has had some success stretching out. I thought he was a little bit interesting here on the stretch out, though.
I did too. I'm surprised he's that big of a number.
Yeah, I thought I think the 6 doors to beat, but he might be my other one. I'm not a huge fan of the 4 in here. I'd go 6 and 10.
Back at Tampa Bay Downs. Happy ride. Andy made the case for this 5-year-old mare coming back off the bench, and she delivers.
Yeah, a very game performance. Looked like she was beaten, and she just came back on and drew off to an easy victory off the layoff. New barn coming in from Penn National gets it done. Did not get my 1-6 home, though. I think the 6 just missed 3rd.
Nearly. Yeah. Carson Strong, the 6, just weakening late here. Bella Romance, gotta believe, was a huge price getting by her. For second late.
Yeah, looks like, yeah. He got up for second.
Yeah, 11-1. 1-8-4-6.
Juicy exacta, huh? Over $200 for $2.
15-20 you're giving out here. Well done.
Well, let's do. My opinions haven't exactly been setting the place on fire today. But thank you.
All right, we're going to get back to Oaklawn. So the 8-5 favorite Single ruler, Grant Forster, Ramon Vasquez. Paul, your thoughts on the horse to beat on the board right now?
Well, definitely the horse to beat for Grant Forster, and Grant's such a great guy. Got to know him very, very well when I was at Churchill Downs. Actually got to play golf with him on every Tuesday with the trainers. And, you know, this horse is the best horse on figures by far, and the horses that have come in from fairgrounds have done well here. But then you look at the record, right, Greg, and you look, oh my God, this horse won for 18, and you're wondering why, or 1 for 17, with 2 second-place finishes, 1 missed by a nose, and you know Grant's done a good job with this horse. This horse has been picking up a lot of checks, but it scares you a little bit at 8-5 when you see a horse 1 for a lot. But you know, he is the horse to beat here when you look at his figures. He just is. And this was a bunched up, you know, race that day. And, you know, he ran well. He's always right there. If you look at his last 4 or 5 races, he's the barometer by far in this race. Now, the outside horse in here, the 10 Funny Uncle, you know, this horse has confused me a couple times because I think this horse wants to go long. We're going to go to the start of his last race. He got dead left in this race from the 1 hole. And Rocco Bowen, this horse actually went into the gap and almost, if you would have seen the head on, the horse almost hit the temporary rail at the beginning. And then he actually made up so much ground, it was unbelievable. I go back and I look, okay, he's 0 for 4 at the distance. He's 1 for 17 lifetime, but he faced so much, I guess, harder competition. Winamac Avenue, some really tough horses when he was going long. This is going to be the weakest group that he's faced going a distance of ground. Don't love drawing the 10 hole, but I do think he's kind of a player in here. And then route runner in here for Steve and Keith Asmussen, off the, you know, a little bit of a layoff or a lot of a layoff in here. And this horse was at Sam Houston and then shipped up here. I don't know this one for 3 Chimneys. I think the 3, and if you look at the 3 in the Will Pays, the 3 is right there. Now, I understand the stat for Cipriano Contreras, but this is a horse that wants to go long. And at 9-1, I think a good proposition to maybe hit the board in here. And Manny Esquivel is aboard his main man. So I'm going to go with the 3 here at 9-1. I just cannot trust a lot of these runners. Although the 6 might be tough to beat in here, I just can't ignore that 1 for 17.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I mean, the nature of this condition, you're going to see some pretty ugly records, but it's not often you see 1 for 17 on an 8-5 favorite.
Yeah, no, I think that is worth looking at, and that's the difference between the negative stat I gave you and the 3. That horse is 8-1. If you like the 3, I don't think you should care about the stat. I'm just pointing it out. Whereas with the 6, that's a different story. The horse is 8-5.
Loading up. 9 horse moves in line. I'm your man. Another interesting horse at 8-1. I mean, the horse wins first time out going a mile. That's not easy to do at Churchill.
I just thought he was too slow.
Struggled in that next start. This will be the 3-year-old debut. Norm Cassidy, though, been struggling a little bit at the meet. See what happens here. It's single ruler the 6th, the favorite. Matt Dinnerman the call.
Oaklawn. Funny Uncle goes in. We're ready to go. And they're off. Funny Uncle broke sharply and shows speed today. We Miss Arlington put into play from the inside. We Miss Arlington has the lead. Super Renzo takes the 2nd spot. Seas of Normandy 3rd with Redfield into the turn, and a 3-deep Funny Uncle, who broke the best, has been taken back to 5th now. He's running about 3 lengths off the pace. A 1.5 lengths to Rivetage, settling in midfield with I'm Your Man. They're a 1.5 lengths better than Single Ruler and Route Runner. The trailer at the back, Magnatap, as the 10 runners make their way up the barn side. We Miss Arlington, the leader on the rail, a 1/2 length in front. Super Renzo right there pressing in 2nd. Redfield in the 3rd spot. Seas of Normandy runs in 4th. Then Funny Uncle broke on the outside post. He's on the rail now. 4 lengths off the lead, racing alone. 3 ahead of Rivetage, who's between horses. On the inside, Route Runner draws level with him. I'm Your Man is 3 wide. They're 2 lengths ahead of Single Ruler. And Magnatap has yet to pass a runner. 23-3 that first quarter that We Miss Arlington set. The half and 47-4 as they go charging into the turn. We Miss Arlington around the turn, a neck in front. Seas of Normandy in the second position. Super Renzo is dropped back, being eased up out of it. I'm Your Man takes the third position. He's on the move, 3 wide, within a length of the top pair. And then comes Redfield. He's under pressure on the fence, top of the stretch. We Miss Arlington confronted on the outside by Seas of Normandy. And Seas of Normandy kicks on. Seas of Normandy becomes the one to reel in. And second, I'm Your Man right behind them. Funny Uncle is rallying on now. Let's see where he's going to go. He's going to duck to the inside. Seas of Normandy in front. Funny Uncle trying to reel him in. Seas of Normandy close to home. He's got it. Seas of Normandy over Funny Uncle. Third home, I'm Your Man in that photo with Rivetage for the third spot.
Seas of Normandy stretching back out. First off the claim for one of the hottest barns in Hot Springs, Cipriano Contreras.
As we said, you don't not bet a horse to price because of a bad stat. However, he should have finished second. I think it's worth watching the replay again. And, you know, Harry Hernandez gave a very good ride the last time. And to be fair to Harry, did a very good job of getting position on the first turn into the backstretch from the outside post. But then he didn't really assess what was in front of him because he got shut off on multiple occasions. And with all due respect, congrats to the winner. He was lucky. The 10 ran the best race. Just poor choices led to that result.
3:10.9, it looks like, over the 8. Seas of Normandy goes off at 5-1. Cipriano Contreras, Manny
Cops may be
Escobar.
coming for you here, I think, Greg.
We're going to look again to tomorrow's card, Saturday card, moved to Sunday at Aqueduct because of all the rain we're getting. Biagio's Rose is feature on that 7th race where Security Code going to try and make it 3 in a row coming off that victory in the Broadway. We talked about Lady Mine as well, proving she could get it done on something other than a wet track with that victory last time out, February 29th.
Yeah, I think his race may change a bit as Bonadue and both Sweet Mystery are entered on Thursday. May take some of the pace out of it, and that's not going to help Lady Mine. Now, she was forward last time, and I guess going a mile in her current form, she could be forward again. And while the track will be better shape than it is today, as the rain seems to have finally tapered off, there's still going to be moisture in the track, and she runs well with moisture. But she's run well on fast tracks also. She is a new horse. She has been absolutely terrific. And the only blemish in her recent races, she was way against the track after getting badly left. Big inside speed track, and she was wide the whole time. A very good effort by her. But she's facing tougher, more accomplished horses in here in both Security Code and Venti Valentine, and even Busted Bay, who I think is very dangerous coming back on short rest.
Yeah, that might be the difference. Different level of competition. Yep. Can she run that kind of race against the toughest probably she's faced in a long, long time? We'll find out. Dylan Davis for Jeremiah Engelhardt. She has turned a corner, though, and we'll see if she can keep it going. Meanwhile, Security Code, she will try and make it 3 straight. She draws the rail, and she comes off a stakes win in the Broadway against New York bred.
She's a remarkable horse. She basically runs every 4 to 5 weeks, and she pretty much runs the same race every time, which is a real credit to her, but also to her connections and the job that Phil Serpy and his team have done with her, because they've got a horse that just performs well every time basically she hits the track. And, you know, that's an underrated thing in this game. There are a lot of horses that are very inconsistent. She's not one of them. I wonder, though, if she'll be as effective getting the mile, and I'm sure that Phil probably has the same question as well. And Venti Valentine, who had no excuse to lose to her last time, but she has shown to be proficient in the longer distance races, so maybe that gives her a little bit of an edge over Security Code, but you can't knock the consistency of Security Code.
Yeah, Venti Valentine, the mare, just missing there, getting second. She's going to get an extra furlong to try and run down Security Code on Sunday in this race, so we will have that for you. Sunday afternoon, Biagio's Rose. Saturday card from New York moved to Sunday, where we're going to have better weather, but as you said, potentially going to still be quite a bit of moisture in the racetrack. Seas of Normandy wins first off the claim for the Contreras barn with Manny Escobar.
Manny Escobar, a very underappreciated, I don't know, underrated, because I think people who know about Manny know he's a very good rider. He just doesn't get as many opportunities on the bigger circuits, but he's been having a good meet at Oaklawn. He's a good rider. Got a very good trip. You could see he had a handful of horse the whole way, and a little bit of just bad luck for Harry Hernandez, who tried to do the right thing with the 10 and ended up getting into a lot of trouble and probably wrote the best horse.
3:10.9 $13.20 for the win. And trainer owns part of this one as well. So a bit of an upset in the pick 5 with 2 stakes still to come in the sequence. The last race, too, to close it out. Lot of ways to go.
You love those Archie bred maiden claimers.
So difficult.
I tell you. You know, I just can't get enough of them.
Makes for, especially in a pick 5, to close it out that way, where you have a lot of options, makes it fun.
Well, there's a pretty big favorite, right? The 2's kind of logical in there. What about the 4 on a turn back, Sunny and 70?
I thought there were several.
Yeah, well, they all run 40 buyers at best, so it's never that easy.
That's going to close out the cards a little bit of ways.
College Day.
Yeah, College Day out in Hot Springs as well.
No update on College Day from Paulie.
They have terrific crowd out there. Maybe Paul's going to interact with the crowd a little bit later on, some of his interviews.
Well, whether he's doing it on air or not, we know he's interacting with the crowd. Paulie's not shy.
Best still yet to come with our 2 stakes ahead. A name you've heard quite a bit at this meet. In fact, earlier today, still relatively new to this sport, Christian Torres. He only began riding back in April of 2019. But through hard work, determination, and an appreciation of everything that comes his way, he has blossomed into a star on the Hot Springs circuit.
I used to play baseball, but I didn't see myself growing up much, so I decided to quit and just finish school.
Growing up in Puerto Rico, Christian Torres would watch television with his grandpa and cousins, which would eventually influence what sport he'd pursue.
I decided to be a jockey when I was, I can say, like 10 years old, because I grew up around horses and animals in Puerto Rico. And I grew up watching races with my grandfathers, and they used to take me to the racetrack too. I fell in love with it.
Christian moved to Orlando with his family to attend high school before moving back to Puerto Rico to attend the jockey school.
But I was in the exercise rider program. I wasn't like in the jockeys. They have the exercise rider and jockeys program.
Unfortunately, Hurricane Maria complicated those plans.
And I entered the exercise riders program each year. And that was when Hurricane Maria hits Puerto Rico, and I didn't finish it because the racetrack, we couldn't do anything.
Christian has had his patience tested with all the detours that have included stops in Pennsylvania, working as an exercise rider for 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a rough trip, but it's been worth it.
He'd win his first race in April of 2019 at Gulfstream Park. 2 months later, Christian's grandparents and cousins visiting from Puerto Rico watched him win in the United States for the first time, wearing t-shirts with his picture on the front and our champion written on the back. Torres closed out 2022 with a bang.
And now, returning to the Larry Snyder Winner's Circle, jockey Christian Torres.
He was the leading rider in 2 states, Arkansas and Oklahoma, helping him win Jockey of the Week honors.
We've watched this guy for a little while, and like I said, good young kid and good attitude. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
On December 17th, Torres rode at Oaklawn during the day, and that night he won a stakes race on the closing day at Remington to wrap up his first riding title.
Flew to Oklahoma, rode over there at night, came back the same night. It was really tough, but it was worth it. We got 2 wins here, 1 win over there. I love everything. I love the atmospheres, I love the track, I love the people. Since the first day that I got here, I just fell in love, and I love it.
Oaklawn's 22 and 23 meet will especially be memorable for Christian and his longtime girlfriend, Valerie. They were married on Valentine's Day in Hot Springs with their daughter, Ainoa, by their side.
With everything that is happening now, I'm just very blessed.
Again, he's only been riding for a few years, and look what he is doing at this meet. It's not even close.
Wow.
62 wins for Christian Torres to lead the way.
Yeah, I like his chances to hold on. What do you think?
We're going to see him in both stakes. Coming up, it'll be on Mr. Phillip for the Diodoro barn in the Hot Springs, and then interesting long shot on Seize the Night in that Grade 3 Essex Handicap.
Yeah, no, see if he can get it done. It's going to be a competitive race. Looking forward to that. I think First Mission could be vulnerable.
New audience joining us right now. Joining us on SNY, those already with us on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races. Saturday card from Oaklawn Park with 2 stakes to come. The Hot Springs for 3-year-olds and the Grade 3 Essex Handicap for older horses coming up in our ABR Race of the Week. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and Brad Cox with the morning line favorite at least in both these races coming up.
He's already got a win since we've come on the show here, as he does well, and he's sort of all over the place, but no surprise. And he's got a horse that has been a bit of a disappointment coming up the Hot Springs in Nash, but I don't think that we should consider him not the horse to beat. And then, of course, he's got First Mission, who's going to be the favorite in here. And you and I don't think he's going to be 5-2. They can't stay away from Brad, but both you and I think it may be a more competitive race than that.
Well, he was beat a nose in the Grade 2 Clark, and then it seemed like prime for big things to come in his 4-year-old campaign. He was a flop in his 4-year-old debut in the Pegasus at a short price. Nowhere in that race behind National Treasure.
I mean, he ran so badly, you know, you don't want to just pitch a bad effort, especially in a horse who's going to be favored. But he ran so badly, it's sort of hard to take it at face value, and he comes back reasonably quickly, so he obviously didn't get hurt that well. What his excuse may have been, who knows? Maybe the kickback at Gulfstream got to him, I don't know. He's better than that. He's run some big races, but there are some nice horses in here, and I really am looking forward to seeing if a horse like Magic Tap can take that step forward.
That was him with those white blinkers just missing in that Grade 2 Clark against Trademark to end his 3-year-old season. As for that 4-year-old return, Brad Cox said he just struggled with the track, and especially with a kickback that day. He has been training exceptional since then.
And listen, kickback sometimes is used a lot as an excuse. It can be very harsh at Gulfstream. There's Magic Tap.
Yeah, Team Asmussen. So Steve, son Keith will team up here. A horse that just missed the Grade 3 Razorback in his second start back in his 4-year-old season.
And the horse that beat him is a few minutes away from running in the New Orleans Handicap at Fairgrounds. So if you want to sort of measure him, take a look at that 9th race coming up momentarily at Fairgrounds and see how Gasoline does, because a win by him, and you might want to move Magic Tap up even more. Octane, Gasoline, I'm thinking of, right? Another Todd Pletcher horse, right?
Close enough.
They're close enough. They're related. They're brothers.
We'll see how Magic Tap does. Yeah, interesting horse, War Campaign. Meanwhile,
is Octane running there, or is it Gasoline? Maybe I'm wrong now.
I think it is Octane. War Campaign. He's obviously very good, and he's trying to win, though, off the bench as a 5-year-old in a pretty tough field.
Yeah, tough spot off the bench. And, you know, there's a lot of interesting horses. I mean, I know Wizard of Westfield is more of a turf horse, but he has run okay in the dirt. Even Late Life Grand at times has run well. Competitive race. I like the stakes down there. Usually I don't know too many horses in there, but they're all pretty good.
Yeah, they are. Decent field. Hot Springs. Brad Cox will have the morning line favorites we talked about in here in Nash, who tested that Triple Crown Trail for a little bit in the Grade 3 Lecomte. Gunrunner before that. He's now going to get back to a mile distance here, shortening up from that mile to 16.
Well, I think also measuring horses against each other, right? He lost to Tuscan Sky, who's undefeated. Both his wins on wet tracks. A lot of people think with the sort of fierceness being up in the air, he could be Todd Pletcher's biggest hopeful going to the Derby. He's going to run the Wood Memorial, and this horse lost to him as the favorite last time. Tuscan Sky dusted him last time, and if Nash were to run well in here, maybe it flatters Tuscan Sky. If he doesn't run well, maybe it doesn't.
We're going to send it out to Hot Springs, one of the most dominant barns on the circuit. He's got big chances coming up in each of the next 2 stakes. Let's go to Paul Duca.
Yeah, I'm with trainer Robertino Diodoro. He's got 2 charges today in both stakes. He's got 1 in here, Mr. Phillip in here, the 4. In a horse that, you know, you have Christian Torres on, obviously, but at Lasix last time was actually very, very impressive. And a horse that obviously needs to make a step up, but where do you think he lies here?
Well, first, like you said, he needs to step it up today. First time stretching out 2 turns. We'll see what happens. You know, his last race pressured the whole way, drew off, and galloped out strong. That was one thing that we're looking for to hopefully try him going 2 turns. And then his last couple works since galloped out strong. You know, worked him actually 3 quarters, 2 works back, and wants to keep going. So again, we have to step it up today.
What's going to be your tactics today? I know that, listen, there's a horse in here that's even money is accomplished in a horse called Nash. And so what would be your tactics in here, Robertino?
You know what? Today I'm not going to give Christian much instructions. He's the lean rider. He knows the horse. Let's see what happens from the break. You know, first time going 2 turns, this horse might drag him to the lead, but we're going to leave it in his hands.
Okay, in the Essex, you got the Great Escape, who's my favorite horse. Ran Century Mile and Assiniboia, one of my favorite racetracks. And he ran a good race last time, and he seems like he's in really good form right now.
Yeah, second time off a layoff. He's fresh. And, you know, he's an honest horse. He gives it everything he's got every time. We're going to need a perfect trip and a little bit of racing luck and probably a AAA performance by him to pull it off. But, you know, it's horse racing.
Well, at least you've got horses in the field. And when you have horses in the field, you got a chance. Robertino Diodoro, been the leading trainer here before, knows how to win stakes races.
He knows how to win a lot, especially out in Hot Springs. Paul, thank you. Great Escape is going to be the horse he sends out in the Essex, and he has Mr. Phillip, who you're looking at right here, the 4-horse Christian Torres will ride, comes off a maiden win on a wet track.
He won at 6 furlongs, and he ran fast, actually faster on a dry track from a figure standpoint. Stretching out distance off of a maiden win, Robertino Diodoro is 1 for 12. And he's a very good trainer with routers, so it's kind of surprising.
Post-parade for the Hot Springs back-to-back stakes races coming up from Oaklawn when we return.
Everybody, welcome to Clayburn Farm. Clayburn Farm has been around since 1910. The tour is a backstage look at how we operate as a large-scale breeding farm. These are parts of the farm that have always been off limits to the public. You know, you would only see these barns and these horses up close if you worked out here. So it's been really exciting to open that to the public, to show that end of the industry and just spread that knowledge. You know, you take a group out, they get to scratch on a mare in full, they think it's super cool, and hopefully create a lifelong fan. So our stallions stand from anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. That is a stand and nurse guarantee. So that fee is not paid until the next year after the mare has had her baby, the full stands, and everything is good. We have conceived 22 Kentucky Derby winners, 19 Preakness winners, 22 Belmont winners, and 29 Breeders' Cup winners. In addition to that, 6 of the 13 Triple Crown winners have been conceived in our breeding shed. So I'm always excited to, spread the knowledge that I've had, share this passion for the breeding industry that I've had basically my entire life, and just spread the wealth. Basically, all of our tours are sold out. That's just absolutely fantastic. Sometimes we'll try to sneak in 1 or 2 extra people onto the trolley. It's a yearling colt field. Actually, this field is home of 2013 Kentucky Derby winner Orb, as well as Breeders' Cup Classic winner Flame. The cemetery is extremely popular. It's on both types of tours that we offer, so the trolley tour and the walking tour. People travel from all over the world to see Secretariat's grave. So it's really exciting to see people's reaction to seeing that. Secretariat, the 1973 Triple Crown winner. I just want to thank everybody for coming on this tour. This is a tour that we've been really excited about. We're really excited to open up this side of the operation to the public. I think Clayburn is just absolutely iconic when it comes to horse racing. I don't think you can think of horse racing without thinking of Secretariat and Clayburn Farm.
Proud to have them as a sponsor, legendary Clayburn Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well as we get set for stakes action coming up at Oaklawn. Back-to-back stakes, including our ABR race of the week, the Grade 3 Essex Handicap. First up, 3-year-olds going a 2-turn mile in the Hot Springs, and there's Brad Cox, his Nash, who is going to sprint for the first time in 6 career starts now since the debut.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what he does, and I agree that he is way the horse to beat. I wouldn't bet against him in this race, but he's been a disappointment. He's lost at 2 of his last 3 races at 1-2, one of them in even money. He ran those huge figure in his second start. But to be fair, he's lost twice to Track Phantom, who could be the favorite in the Louisiana Derby, and once to Tuscan Sky, who's going to be one of the favorites in the Wood Memorial in all likelihood. So he's losing to very good horses. He's getting significant class relief, and the other thing is, it feels like other than the Count Dracula outside of him, who is scratched because he is entered next Friday or Thursday, so I'm not surprised to see him be scratched. He was not scratched early. It just feels like he's meeting a bunch of horses that are mostly stretching out in distance, other than Carbone, who's really got to get his act together again. Much more so than Nash, right?
Yeah, he looked like he was going to be a star off the huge debut, back-to-back wins to start things out. He was stretching out to a mile and then just flopped on the Triple Crown Trail.
And okay, he caught a muddy track in the Southwest and he was chasing outside, so you want to give him an excuse, fine. But he stunk in the Rebel. And okay, it's an extra, less of a 16th of a mile, but he's really going to have to show it. Now, he's run well enough in the past that it won't surprise me he runs better today, but if you think Nash has some things to prove, Carbone's got a lot more to prove than Nash does.
Yes, Son of Matoli for Steve Asmussen. Martin Garcia rider change on Carbone.
Do you wonder if Steve would think about cutting him back after this if he doesn't run well? I know he wanted a mile second time, but he wanted 6 first time, and he's a Matoli. And maybe at the end of the day, he just might be a little better going shorter.
He does not need another good sprinter, Steve Asmussen. He's got too many good ones right now.
Every trainer would like to have as many good horses as they possibly can.
But yeah, that might be the case. We'll see what happens here. Maybe getting back to a mile, though, will do the trick for him. We're going to start off the post parade with a stablemate here in a moment for 3 Chimneys Farm. Otto the Conqueror, Steve Asmussen barn with son Keith aboard, and he had put together 3 wins in a row. He was on the Triple Crown Trail. He won the Springboard Mile. Tried the Southwest on that wet track and disappointed that day.
He was the conquered in that race, and he was down towards the inside, too, before falling apart. So it's not like he had things against him, but it was a quick pace. But he's not exactly facing a bunch of slow pokes in here. Going to have trouble in here.
Yeah, there is some serious speed lined up in this Hot Springs. As you take a look at Carbone, just leaving the screen. Mr. Phillip, that 4-horse with Christian Torres. We had the story on, riding for Robertino Diodoro. tough task here off a maiden win stretching out.
Yeah. This is a salty bunch, and I've been looking forward to seeing how Nash does because he has been disappointing, but he's going to be tough.
So here's Otto the Conqueror, 7-1 with Keith Asmussen for Dad.
Got to get back to that big fig one of these days. Let's get back to a fast track for the first time in a while.
Again, rider change Martin Garcia on Carbone for Asmussen.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do in here. I'm not optimistic. I feel like he's a horse that needs a cutback.
3-1 right now. Mena, big price with Harry Hernandez.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, his best race just doesn't put him in the hunt.
He tried the Rebel as well last time out on the Triple Crown Trail. Christian Torres meets leading runaway leader on Mr. Phillip for Diodoro.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit interesting, and he could be the speed of the speed, but Diodoro oddly does not have great stretch-out numbers, especially off wins.
4-5 favorite, Nash. No question he has faced the best.
Yeah, he needs to deliver today because he has become a bit of a money burner, but he's burning money facing very good competition.
Here's the 8, Frost Free. Comes off a big win, gate to wire.
Yeah. A huge figure that day, but can he reproduce it stretching out? I'm skeptical.
And Magic Grant on the outside. He was in the Rebel as well. He did not do much running.
He's going to need some magic beans to be effective in here because he's just too slow.
4-5 favorite. As we go to Paul LaDuca for the Brad Cox barn, Paulie, it's Nash who has faced some pretty tough customers.
Yeah, he has, Greg. And listen, he's the standard in here. He's the horse to beat. Like, I'm kind of with Andy a little bit, as in he's been a tiny bit disappointing considering the money that's been bet on him in his career starts and the hype that was behind him. Now, you know, after he won that race at Churchill, but I just think that he's going to be tough to beat in this group, especially with a lot of the inexperienced horses trying something. Someone's going to have to really pop up and run a big race going long, maybe for the first time. So, you know, at 4-5, where do you want to go? I tend to try to beat these type of horses, but the horse is cutting back a little bit in distance to a mile. So I get where you're going. Now, the 2 inside runners are the interesting horses to me because I prefer the 1 over the 2. And the reason why is I get it. Carbone was really good in his first 2 starts. You know, he comes out of the Southwest and he comes out of the Rebel where he just could not get to the front end, could not control things like he was able to in his first 2 starts. And will that happen again? I don't know. But when I look at Otto the Conqueror, I'm looking at a horse that's never run over a dry strip going long. So to me, there's something there maybe that can improve a little bit more because somebody's going to have to improve to beat Nash. Now, this was his springboard mile on a muddy racetrack. His 2 actually fast racetrack races, he's run okay. But when he's gone long, he's not been able to get a fast racetrack. But he was able to win this race in the springboard mile. I think the springboard mile is one of the most underrated races throughout the year because you do get some nice horses out of the races. And I think Otto the Conqueror is a horse that's, I don't know, where I kind of know where I'm sitting with Carbone. Carbone's going to go to the front end. If Nash stays right on his hip and puts him away, is Otto the Conqueror going to go to the front? I don't know what I'm going to get going a mile and 16th for the first time around 2 turns. You get Keith Asmussen aboard. I have a feeling they're going to try and rate this horse and send Carbone because that's the only way Carbone can go is one way. And the 1 might fall into a really good trip. But like I said, the 6 is going to be tough to beat. I will say this. The horses that are stretching out, you know, talking to Robertino, not just because I talked to him, the 4 looked tremendous. Not many times the Matoliev a Bustin' Stones mare, you really want to go long, but I'll tell you what, this horse looked tremendous in the post parade. But I'm going to stick with Nash as the horse to beat by far. But I'm going to give Otto the Conqueror a little bit of a look. I just think that he's the one, like, kind of question mark that I'm willing to gamble at maybe at 6 or 7-1.
All right, Paulie, thanks. And, you know, the springboard mile, even though he went a little backwards speed figure-wise in that race, he showed a lot of fight and determination in that win.
I know, but that was a really weak field. I mean, that race scratched down significantly. I think Brad Cox had to scratch all of his entrants in that race. I don't recall what the story was, and I just don't know how good it was. I don't know. I'm beginning to think this horse is better with moisture in the track. I know he broke his maiden, but that wasn't fast enough. I'm not a fan of this horse. I could be wrong. If you like him at 6-1, what do you care what I think? I could not endorse this horse, much as I respect Paulie's opinion, which is a great deal.
I mean, do you agree with the public? Nash deserves to be the price he is?
Yes. I actually think, listen, I know that we talked earlier about those maidens that, that were short prices and they had lost at short prices. You're not supposed to bet horses. Those are maiden claimers. Yeah, at the end of the day, he was probably just overbet in those races, as it turns out, because he was facing horses that are really good horses in Track Phantom and Tuscan Sky. He's just not facing that kind of competition here. I'm going to be surprised if Nash loses. I'm not helping anybody with that kind of opinion. He's a short price, but I'm also not going to be betting against him. And I think as a horse player, the first thing you do is see is a favorite vulnerable, and you want to bet against them. But the second thing you do, if you don't think, is don't just bet against them because they're short prices. Often they're short prices for good reason. Not always, but often.
3 to 5 now.
Yeah.
On Nash. There's a good chance, too. I mean, he sprinted in the debut. It's been a mile and a 16th. Usually against incredibly tough competition most of the ways. But shortening up to a mile might be perfect for him.
I agree. I don't see why it should be bad for him. And, the dam Sarah Louise, there is a great race in the Gallant Bloom where Sarah Louise lost a photo to the Mighty Indian Blessing. And I think it may have not her last start or her last win, but Sarah Louise, her dam, is famous because she was the last horse to beat Rachel Alexandra before she went on that run as a 3-year-old. She beat her in the Pocahontas, I think, whatever the prep for the Goldenrod is. And Rachel had a bit of a trip that day, but Sarah Louise, her dam, was a really good horse.
In a way, too, I almost think Brad Cox maybe wanted to try and keep on the Triple Crown Trail a little longer because you look at that second start. 97 buyer, where the Kentucky Derby is going to be held when he stretched him out to a mile in just the second start of his career.
Sure, absolutely. But on the other hand, is Brad thinking about this race and thinking, could I run here and then I run him back into Lexington and maybe he's a Preakness horse? You know what I mean? I mean, it's Godolphin. Obviously, they want to win the Derby, but maybe Brad's thinking, is it cut below? Or you also wonder the mile, is Brad looking at him and thinking, is he a Woody Stevens horse? Is he a horse that ultimately I'm going to cut back and run the 1 turn 7 furlongs? Now, some of those things depend. Where's Timberlake, how well does he run? I mean, you got to judge them all relatively, and you kind of always want to win the Derby, but you also have to be reasonable.
And he did that as a 2-year-old, by the way. That's one of the fastest figures of any 3-year-old this year. To do that in his second start back as a 2-year-old?
You might be shocked to hear, and just get ready for this. After he won that race at Churchill, I saw a number of people on Twitter that say he could have been the Derby winner. I know that's hard to believe because there's a lot of rational, very rarely do you hear irrational exuberance on Twitter, and especially horse racing Twitter. But, a lot of people made him the Derby horse.
Bandwagon gets heavy after a big win, doesn't it?
It's amazing how the recency bias is such a shocking thing, isn't it?
4 to 5 here for Nash. Florent Giroux will be aboard. Faced a couple of times Track Phantom, who could wind up being your winner of the Louisiana Derby and the Triple Crown Trail later today.
I kind of get emails occasionally from the actual Track Phantom.
Do you?
I believe his name is Dave Valento. He occasionally sends me I think he uses that moniker for his handicapping, and he told me this horse is Track Phantom's named for him.
That's exciting.
Sends me some cool stuff for different stuff in racing.
You look at the way his best success though for Nash was when he was on the lead.
Good point.
And I know he's quick. There's quicker horses in here, aren't there?
He's going to have to be moving if he's going to. I mean, isn't Mr. Phillip going to be flying out front? I mean, he's quick. It's a good point. But he was clear last time. He still got run down. But he got run down by a very good horse. I know it was a 3-horse field, but Tuscan Sky. I know Tuscan Sky. People are down at Tuscan Sky because he's getting drilled in the morning by Fierceness. Fierceness might be one of those truly great workhorses. And not surprising because a lot of things go well for you in workouts. And I'm not knocking Fierceness. He's obviously very talented. But I think we also saw in the Holy Bull and the Champagne that when things don't go well for Fierceness, he's not necessarily that kind of horse.
The 2-year-old champ and his stablemate who's emerged.
Isn't he going to be, I wonder if they've drawn the Florida Derby yet. I know that's being drawn today because you have to think he's going to be super aggressive in the aggressively ridden, I should say, in the Florida Derby. I imagine the way they're training him and the kind of horse he is, they're just going to send him in the Florida Derby.
They're going to have to ensure that he gets in. They don't want to take any chances, right?
I just want, I feel like, I feel like they're not going to take any chances with him. Unfortunately, I think Fierceness on pure ability is the most talented horse we've seen so far in this crop. And I'm not saying this, but I think it's very fair as a handicapper to say if he doesn't have everything go his own way, he's extremely vulnerable. And having everything go your own way in the Kentucky Derby is a very dicey proposition. But I think right now they really want to get a big race, and I think they're going to send him. And we'll see if that ends up getting that kind of brilliant performance we saw in the Breeders' Cup. Because that was a brilliant performance, his Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
It was breathtaking. It was probably, it's rare you say that the Juvenile is the best performance of the weekend, but it was.
I thought it was I thought it was the most outstanding performance, especially all things considered. I agree with you, and I know he's a very talented horse, but I think you have to wonder whether or not he's going to show it in all of his races.
Hot Springs 3-year-olds, 2-turn mile coming up, back-to-back stakes here at Oakland. Our ABR race of the week is next in the Essex. The 6, Nash, the odds-on favorite for trainer Brad Cox and Godolphin with Florent Giroux. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
2 turns for the first time today for Keen Thoroughbreds and Brett Creighton. Magic Grant to the outside post. We're ready to go. And they're off in the Hot Springs Stakes, and Frost Free came out of there like a shot. He's going to go to the front here, clears off with the ears pricked, leads by a length. Carbone trying to get off the rails in a little bit of a tight spot, has to tap on the brakes. Mr. Phillip takes the second spot. Carbone, he's rating off the speed today. Nash is alongside of him. Otto the Conqueror well behind early. He broke a little bit slow out of the gate, and he's now in 5th, 5 or 6 lengths behind. Usually he's towards the front of the field. Coming back to Mina and Magic Grant. 2 long shots trail together as they swing up the backstretch. 10 lengths from first to last, and Frost Free leads the way. First time routing. Frost Free by 3/4 of a length. Mr. Phillip, first time going a route of ground for him as well. He's second in the 2 path. A 3-deep Carbone is 2 off the pace in the 3rd position. Nash being joined by Otto the Conqueror on the inside of him, and there's a gap of 3 to the 2 back markers. Mina inside of Magic Grant. So they're halfway home. Frost Free went the opening quarter in 23 seconds flat, the half at 47.3. Frost Free a length in front. And second, Mr. Phillip under a hard ride. Carbone joins him. Nash is making a move now. Nash on the outside is let loose. He's trying to catch Frost Free around the turn. Otto the Conqueror plodding along in 5th. He's had enough. The other 2 are well out of it. Coming to the top of the lane. Frost Free still in front. Nash and the Godolphin Blue on the outside, though. He's roaring to the front. And Nash just blew by his competition. Kicks on, kicks away, and now it's just a guessing game of how much he's going to win by. Nash looking just like he did when he broke his maiden. That's a nice effort here. Wrapped up Nash with a nice confidence booster. Carbone was second, Frost Free 3rd. Photo for 4th, Otto the Conqueror and Mr. Phillip.
Nash dominates this field, and we get back to that second start of his career, that maiden win when he sort of announced his arrival. This horse is very talented.
Given that performance, he drifted even money. It ended up being a bit of a steal. And they tried something different. They clearly wanted to rate him from the start. They took him back, and when he asked him, he just exploded by this field. And this was a much softer group. Not a bad field, but a softer group than he had faced in his prior starts. And he beat them. Quite easily.
Could not have done it easier.
Yeah, I mean, he eased him up in the late stages. He still won by about 5 lengths. It's a good performance. A nice horse, you know, how good he is. And what he's going to be best at doing is something that Brad's going to have to figure out. And he probably will.
The Lexington in the back of their minds
I wonder if that's what they're thinking. I mean, I think there's 2 things they're thinking about. The thing about the Lexington also is it gives them options. It says if he runs well enough, and depending on what happens in the Derby, you think about the Preakness, because, you know, with Nisos on the shelf, the Preakness is a much different story. But not that Muth can't be in there as well, and we'll see what he does, because Baffer can run his horse in there. But the other thing about the Lexington is they can turn him back and bring him back, 7 weeks later, and run him in the Woody Stevens at Grade 1 on that Belmont Stakes program. So that, to me, seems like a logical step. But what do I know?
Nash picks up the second win of his career. He does this as easy as could be, and with new tactics sitting off the pace. Florent Giroux for Brad Cox. And a horse who, whatever division he winds up in, And who knows, maybe it ultimately will be sprinting. Yeah. Maybe they'll stretch him back out, but certainly at a mile, he looked very good today.
He was good today, as they say. We'll see him in the cigar mile at the end of the year.
It's a
long way from now.
Long way to get there.
I'm always thinking about the cigar mile.
And work backwards from there.
Yeah.
Good plan.
I'll be in Jamaica. You'll be here freezing.
Even money
with Raj.
on Nash in the Hot Springs. Our ABR race of the week, grade 3, Essex Handicap, is coming up next.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jockey's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
Thoroughbred Racing is taking vital steps to make our sports safer. These include the use of independent veterinarians, strict anti-doping and medication controls, and a single national authority empowered to create uniform standards and enforce reforms. With each step, more data is gathered, accountability demanded, and progress made as safety takes the lead. Visit ntra.com/safety for more.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Regional networks across the country as well. It's brought to you in part where you can play it all. At Naira Bets, bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Nash dominant in the Hot Springs. For Brad Cox, Godolphin with Florent Giroux. Our winner's circle lead-in brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton's industry-leading selected yearling sales, the July sale, Saratoga sale, and the Yorkbred yearling sale, all taking place this summer. Nominate your yearlings today at FasigTipton.com. So Nash, off this performance, has, I'm sure, a lot of people salivating to see what he's going to do next.
Interested to see what kind of speed figure he gets. It'll be interesting. Obviously, it's a mile race. The track's not playing that quickly. We've got a mile, I want to say, is it a mile and a 16th the next race? A mile and 1/8 in the X's, so hard to judge them by. Look at the speed figures. Probably come out tomorrow. Curious to see what he gets. Paid a generous $4, especially considering the kind of performance he just put in.
He's geared down in the stretch to win that as easy as could be for the second win of his career. So Nash now on to, you would think, bigger and better things off that effort. Grade 3 Essex Handicap ABR Race of the Week. Older horses coming up next, and a purse of $600,000 where Brad Cox will have the favorite in this race as well. First Mission is going to break from the outside, trying to put that 4-year-old debut that was a disappointment behind him in the Pegasus World Cup.
Shocked to see he didn't open up at 5-2 as he is 3-2, and I'm not sure how much higher he's going to go. This is an important race for him because kickback or whatever the story was, he's got to show that he can put that performance behind him. Now, he's never run a bad race before that, so it won't be surprising when he does put it behind him, but man, he was bad last time.
He was, again, you know, Brad Cox blamed it on the kickback, said he didn't like the track. Right. He has said since that time, too, he has worked about as good as you can. He's really come to life again.
He's a very good horse, but he's been always a solid horse. He's a lot of potential. So how good is he ultimately going to be? Because he has a chance. This is a good year to be looking to step forward in that handicap division, especially with so many horses going over the Middle East. You don't know exactly when they come back, though. Brad's got a pretty good one in Saudi Crown, who I imagine is going to be very tough to beat in that Godolphin Mile next week, and a horse that I'm looking forward to seeing come back and maybe see him in the Met Mile on Belmonte.
We will have coverage of that Dubai World Cup day on our program.
You can't in around 4 in the morning to start covering that, Greg? Sleep in here overnight?
Not too far off that. Up next, we'll see if anyone could pose a threat to him. And there's some very talented older horses in this spot. None that probably have the aspirations he has.
But they're good horses nonetheless. Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see what – I've always kind of liked Magic Cap. Now, whether or not he's good enough to win remains to be seen. But I didn't like his last race. I was right, actually. Gasoline was running at New Orleans. He didn't run well, but that doesn't affect Octane.
Yeah, Octane, the one who just narrowed him out in that Grade 3 Razorback last time out. Let's go live to Hot Springs with Paul LaDuca for more.
I'm with Florent Giroux, who's on Nash, who just got the job done in the Hot Springs. Florent, listen, you've been on this horse a couple times. Was this finally the best race you think he's run?
Yeah, definitely. I think the best distance too. I think the mile is probably what he wants. He won so impressively down at Churchill. He kind of chased the Derby dream, and it's very understandable. And he's been running with some of the best 3-year-olds in the country, especially a horse like Track Phantom. He's not an easy one to chase. And today was a little bit of a class relief, better distance for him. And I'm very happy he got the job done, and I was able to ride him as well.
Well, great job on the ride. Let's go to the big boy First Mission. How's he been training?
He's been training great. I've been walking him a few times over there at the fairground. Looked like he rebounded from his race from the Pegasus very well. Hopefully there was not the track, on his liking. Looked like he never really was comfortable and just didn't run a jump, and that's really not like him. Usually he's always a horse who tries really hard. I'm hoping, he likes it here, and he can run a big one. But it's a very good spot for the horse, and hopefully a nice boost of confidence. And it's not an easy race, but I think he have the class to do it.
Well, you look good in Godolphin Blue. Try to get another one. Florent Giroux gets the W in the Hot Springs. Going to look for the double right now in the Essex.
Man, doesn't even change silks coming up.
Yeah, no, it's good for him. Go in and play some ping pong or something to get ready.
Outside, but do you think he can control in this race?
He is the fastest horse if Julia wants to ride him if Florent wants to ride him like that. And we'll see. I mean, it's probably really a question of what Florent thinks and what Brad Cox thinks. I think he can be aggressive. I don't think there's a ton of speed in here. While Magic Tap can be forward, First Mission's a faster horse, so I think they're supposed to go. I don't know what they're supposed to try to learn in here. I think they're supposed to take the fastest horse and go to the front. And don't forget, it's not like those mile races, the outside post. A mile and 1/8, it's got a longer run, at least a 1/16 of a mile more to get over.
See if these connections can pull off this Saturday Stakes sweep back-to-back here in our ABR Race of the Week. Coming up with First Mission. It is next. We'll have the post break for you when we return. Going to take a timeout. Well, Florent Giroux, among others, going to try and beat this young man in our feature race coming up. Keith Asmussen riding for Dad. He'll be aboard Magic Tap. Just missed in the Razorback last time out. Keith hops aboard. Last time he was aboard, this horse was a winner. Stay with us.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit belmontstakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
such a privilege coming from a family of jockeys that they understand the trials and tribulations of being a jockey and what it takes mentally and physically. When I first started, I wanted to ride one race more than anything, and this kind of snowballed into something that has, blown my wildest expectations.
And it's Ian Glass fending off all the challenges, and he'll prevail going away too.
Today, the Asmussens are better known for training thoroughbreds, thanks to the accomplishments of Keith's father, Steve, who was the only trainer to win 10,000 races in North America.
It's impossible to explain how much fun it is. I mean, I've been unbelievably blessed in horse racing, and I think a lot of it is, growing up, my dad rode, and then my older brother rode and stuff. So the excitement of that, and then to get to relive it with your kids is unbelievable.
I imagine he's got an immense source of pride from it, given that he is, other than horses, taught me about everything I know. Grew up around the racetrack, handicapping races. Hometown Arlington, Texas, 20 minutes away from Lone Star Park. Obviously infatuated with jockey as a profession growing up, just having known my father and my uncle and my grandfather, who were all jockeys.
Keith Asmussen's mother, Julie, was an accomplished rider in her own right. She competed in the rodeo event, barrel racing, through high school. And his younger brother, Eric, is the latest Asmussen to forge a path as a jockey. Keith and Eric have already ridden on the same card at several racetracks, just like their uncle and father did at Aqueduct in the 1980s.
It was always, a dream, but I would go as far as saying like a pipe dream of being a jockey. Probably 7th grade, I was about the same size I am now, so I thought I was going to blow right by it.
It was Keith's height and weight that steered him towards a more typical career path after graduating from high school.
Applied to the University of Texas, and I got in their business school. I'm an accounting major. I have a 5 years master's degree in professional accounting. And it wasn't until my junior year at college, when COVID hit, 2020, that when classes went online, I came to work here at Oaklawn, because I'd already, poked my father quite a bit about, is it possible I could ride a race? Before I even rode, my parents made me promise that, once you start, you're not going to want to go back to school. You got to promise you're going to go back to school. And I kept that promise, and I went back for 2 more years, and I got my degrees. And as soon as I graduated, I went straight to the racetrack.
Rivet has won his 3rd straight, and Keith Asmussen has an Oaklawn Stakes victory.
Keith James Asmussen is named after his grandfather, the family patriarch, who rode quarter horses for 38 years. In fact, grandfather and grandson both won a race for Hall of Fame trainer Dwayne Lucas 54 years apart.
These two to the wire, Papa Rocket.
I love being a jockey. It's such an incredible feeling. There's nothing like the feeling of being on top of a thoroughbred racehorse at full flight. And, when you add the art of race riding, it was such a spectacle watching it growing up and just being so attracted to it, and then being able to actually do it, it's beyond words.
Such a young, talented rider who has grown up so much in the last couple of years. This was just going to be a fun summer project. And now it's turned into a career, and he is having great success.
No, I agree. He's really turned it around, and you can see how much he improved from when he started last year and where he was when he began and where he is now. And it's a real tribute to him and the job he's done.
And again, coming up in this next race, our ABR Race of the Week, he's going to be riding for Dad on, he was getting mounts for his father, who's the winningest trainer in North American history, but now he's starting to get mounts for his father in these big stages.
He would not have been riding Magic Tap last year, certainly at the beginning of the meet. And I think his father, he had to prove to his father that he belonged on horses of this quality, and he has proven that. He's ridden consistently well, and he's having a great meet at Oaklawn.
Magic Tap just missed with a different pilot on board last time out in the Grade 3 Racer back. See if he can win with his son aboard here in our ABR Race of the Week. Meanwhile, general admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit BelmontStakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
He's a running son of a gun.
Papa Cap now has the advantage.
A graded stakes winning 2-year-old. Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile runner-up at 2. Multiple Grade 1 placings at 3. Finished in the top 4 in 11 out of 12 starts.
And from here on in, it's just a matter of how far. Papa Cap, an easy winner of the best pal.
Papa Cap, standing at Walmack.
Last Samurai looms up on the outside of Classic Causeway. These two go head and head. Last Samurai the outside. Classic Causeway tries to fight back as Last Samurai puts a neck in front. Classic Causeway is racing in second. As they come to the finish, Last Samurai. He's going to win another stakes race in a row.
Well, this was a great story last year. A horse who had won the Oaklawn Handicap back in 2022 comes back and wins the Razorback and Essex back-to-back for Dwayne Lucas.
No, he got very good for Wayne. He really did. He really ran well at Oaklawn Park as well. I don't think the rest of his year went as well, but he certainly did well at Oaklawn.
Christian Torres with a board for both of those victories. Very popular wins, obviously, from the legendary Dwayne Lucas barn. See what happens in this year's edition coming up. It's our ABR race of the week. Grade 3 Essex Handicap, mile and an eighth, 4-year-olds and up. $600,000 on the line in first mission for Brad Cox. We just saw him dominate in the Hot Springs with Nash as an even money favorite. We'll try and go back-to-back with first mission here from that outside post. Florent Giroux in the second start back of his 4-year-old campaign. He closed out his 3-year-old season with 3 consecutive wins and then a nose miss in the Grade 2 Clark Handicap, and that's this race here.
Yeah, this was a tough beat for him. He had no excuse, but Trademark's a pretty good horse. It's not as though he was facing a bad horse. In fact, he was a big overlay at 13-1, and he just got him. No excuse for first mission, but just because he lost doesn't mean he didn't run a good race. He did run a good race.
We expect to see him forward here. He's down on the inside there in those white blinkers and just getting nailed late. Tough beat, well clear of the third-place finisher that day. There he is. 6-5 favoritism here for his second start back. It does make you question, though, the way he came back in his 4-year-old season, because he'd been so consistent. He'd never run a bad race, and he didn't show up that day.
Right. Listen, we trust Brad Cox, and he ran so badly, it's a little hard to believe. And there's often a situation where the kickback can be very tough at Gulfstream Park, and the way he ran. But he's still a 6-5 shot coming off a horrendous performance. So you do have to ask yourself how much you want to take that short price. And you also have to say, are you sure he's the best horse in the race? And you want to bet him that. You know, ask yourself, would you take 6-5 on him if he didn't run his last race? If you would, or you're on the fence, I think you have to take his last race into account. I'd probably rather bet Magic Tap, but he's not that great a price at 5-2 either, to be honest. And I'm not sure the difference isn't reasonably fair, though I'm a fan of Magic Tap. I think he's pretty good.
Well, let's take a look at him. He came back as a 4-year-old. He won first off the bench, and then he just missed in the Grade 3 Razorback to Octane. Again, well clear of the third-place finisher.
Yeah, but I still thought he ran a reasonable race. He wasn't in the greatest position as Octane really got the jump on him that day, and I thought he closed gamely, and he's a better horse forward. I want to see Keith Asmussen ride him out of the race, out of the gate. I don't think he's going to be on top of the favorite here, but I think he can be sitting second, and I'd like to see him get in the position where he is a little bit more forward. Some of it really depends on what does the Wizard of Westwood do, because he does have a lot of speed, and we've seen Vasquez be aggressive. I don't think he's necessarily as fast, but he could ride him very hard out of the gate, and if he could be a thorn in the side of the favorite potentially, couldn't he?
He's the big X factor, too, in this race. Just take away what he's going to do and where he's going to be. 2 starts on dirt, both wins. His debut at 5 furlongs out on the West Coast, and then he'd been on turf for start after start after start. He runs this huge race on a race that comes off the turf on dirt, which puts him in here.
It does, but he's going to have to, I think, even improve on that effort. And keep in mind, that's an off-the-turf race when they weren't running on the turf at Churchill and not face this kind of horse. He's a big price. I don't think he'd ever suggest he's going to win this race, but he could be a potential thorn in the side if aggressively ridden on the favorite.
16-1 on Wizard of Westwood, the only undefeated horse on the surface coming in, and granted, very different circumstances.
Yes.
He only ran on it twice, and as you mentioned, one of those races was meant for the grass and came off. Still, that's a pretty big number. As we'll get to our post break here in just a moment, you know, a horse, too, that I was pretty high on a couple of summers ago. Coming into the Travers, did not work out for him.
Wow.
Had come in from Prairie Meadows. Ain't Life Grand's going to kick off the post break here in just a moment. And he had an excuse to need that race coming back. It was off a long layoff, so this is second start back of his 5-year-old campaign.
Right. They scratched him out of the stake to run in this race, to run an allowance race last time. They're right to scratch it and run well, but maybe he needed that race. He's got fast races last year. He's not impossible.
Trained by Kelly Von Hemel. Martin Garcia will ride 6-1 from the inside. The horse we were just talking about, who is 2 for 2 on dirt. 16-1 Wizard of Westwood.
And shouldn't he run his best race during the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, March Madness, his time. Yeah. Named after John Wooden.
If you don't know he's named after John Wooden, you need to, and you know anything about college basketball, you need to know more.
Great escape. Robertino Diodoro with Harry Hernandez.
They ran a respectable race, went second, but he doesn't have any races necessarily that make him a contender here, and that's why he's a big price.
Father-son combo. The Asmussens with Magic Tap, who just missed in the Razorback.
Now, this is a horse who has potential. Can he take a step forward and show he belongs against the best horses in the division?
War Campaign, 5-year-old veteran. He has not raced, though, since the end of mid-December. This will be his 5-year-old debut coming up.
That's the thing, in a muddy seal track last time, but he has run some big figures at times. Is he better with moisture in the track?
Manny Esquivel rides. Time for trouble. Rafael Bejarano ran a huge number on a wet track last start.
Yeah, mile and 3/16 races scare me a little bit. He's got to improve, in my opinion.
Interesting long shot here. Seize the night with Christian Torres.
Yeah, no, I agree. He seems to be an improving horse. Now, I don't love the horse that beat him last time, and he's another horse that running recently at wet tracks, but he's got some good efforts going back.
And Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, Godolphin, the favorite, first mission.
I'm not wildly against him. I just don't want to bet him at a short price, but I'm not going to argue that he's the horse to beat. I don't think you really can.
Favorite from that outside post. Are we going to be looking at these same connections in the winner's circle again, Paulie?
Well, I think the public is thinking that, all right? I mean, the Godolphin Blue is strong, and when they come over here, they're really strong. And, you know, you could hear it in Flo's voice when I did the interview with him. He's confident, but he also is a little bit worried that we can draw a line through that last race. And, you know, maybe his best race was going 1 mile and an eighth, and he's the horse to beat. I mean, let's just be honest, at 6-5. In the Pegasus, it's really tough for me. I had to explain it. Sometimes horses go to Florida and go to Gulfstream Park. And let's be honest, how many horses does Brad really ship in to Gulfstream? Doesn't really have a string there full time. I just have a thing that you could just draw a line through the first mission's last race in the Pegasus. I just think that taking that shot was something off a layoff. The horse was obviously doing very well to be 2.5-1 in the race. So I just think you draw a line through it, not the right kind of racetrack to come back on. He doesn't really stable there. I just think there's a lot of different things. And Brad's a phenomenal trainer. I just think it wasn't the right circumstances. Now the 5, Magic Tap, just keeps running solid race after solid race. Can he close the gap on first mission a little bit? I believe he can, when going 1 mile and an eighth. His race 2 back was really, really good. And, you know, he's really not run a bad race. His only bad race was the first time he ran, and that was going around 1 turn. He's always been a 2-turn horse. But the 1 is just getting completely overlooked. I get it. He came back and it didn't run that great, but he really strided out late in that race. And I'm not a gallop out guy at all, but this is a horse that has run some monster numbers, and you're getting 7-1 on Ain't Life Grand. Martin Garcia, who's a little bit more aggressive than Manny Esquivel, I think will put this horse a little bit more in the game today. I get it. The 9's the horse to beat. The 5 should be right there, but I do not get the 1 at 7-1. I just got to play that horse across the board at that price.
Paul, please.
I've liked this horse for a long time, and we'll see. He had every right to need that race coming back. I think we're going to see a better effort from him today. Whether it's good enough to win against this field, though, well, I don't know.
I agree. If somebody is actually value on the board in this race, I agree. It is him. 7-1 is a very fair price, second off a layoff for a horse. He's capable of running the kind of figure you may need to win this race, and you may need to beat the favorite. I think that's a good price. So why not just bet him to win and bet a 9-1 exacta?
That's called creating value.
I would never condone betting to show, or to place, frankly, but to show. Use exotics to bet, place, and show.
Well, let's go to the 5-year-old who's won over $500,000 in his career war campaign. Becomes a bit of a tough task because this will be his first start since December 16th.
Yeah, I don't love him, and I don't love him against this field on a dry track, so I'm not really a big fan of his chances. I know he's run some decent races, but I don't think he's really good enough to beat these horses, to be honest. And I know he ran a big figure last time. It was a good trip on a wet track, and I just prefer others, to be honest. I mean, listen, he's a talented horse. I think if you're looking to bet somebody else at a price, I think Paulie has the right horse.
That was his only start at Oaklawn. It was a winning effort. So they keep him in Hot Springs. We'll see if he can do it again on a fast track. And he'll have to do it again off the bench. Off since December 16th. Manny Esquivel back aboard for Phil Simms. 6-1 right now on a horse who's won over $500,000 in his career. So Magic Tap, first mission, really kind of dominating the board in here. There's some other, Time for Trouble, another one on a wet track who ran a huge figure last time out. For him, you think the 7-horse is not good enough against this level of competition?
The odd thing about him is his big figure races have come at odd distances. A 1 3/4 and the Birdstone went distant second. Last time at a 1 3/16. These are not, for me, the most reliable figures because they're distances that are frequently run. And so they will often come up aberrationally high. And overall, I just think he's a cut below these horses. That's just my reasonable thinking. But listen, he's a big price if you like him. I don't ever want to talk somebody off a big price. Just my opinion.
We had thought 6-5 was even a little too short on first mission. He's even money now.
Yeah, whoever made him 5-2 in the morning line should rethink the way they make morning lines because you're creating false hope kind of for fans. He was always going to be short. He's a Brad Cox horse that has one horrible effort. He's always a short price. This was a very talked about horse last year. So he was never going to be anywhere close to 5-2. He was always going to be under 8-5 in this race. So I'm not surprised he's even money. I think he's a little overbet. We talked about this, but this was a horse that was possibly going to be favored in the Preakness last year, right? Before they ended up scratching him. Right? I mean, this is.
Well, I mean, and you see, it's not just the win. Like, he beat the highly touted Arabian Lion, obviously, in that Lexington, and that kind of put him on the map. Still, he needs to run a figure in here better probably than he ever has if all these horses show up and run their best.
I don't know. I guess.
You don't think so?
I don't, the Beyer speed figures disagree with that. I mean, he has a 102 Beyer speed figure in the Clark. He lost, but, you look at different figures, and I'm not knocking them. A different way to look at it. He is the horse to beat. The other thing about him is he does have some upside. He's a recently turned 4-year-old. So does Magic Tap. A lot of these horses, they're 5. They've run some of their better races. And, eventually they'll stop circling, and they'll actually go to the gate and run this race. I don't know what they're waiting for.
Post time was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little time here. So even
I've run
money,
out of things to say about this race. You can send him to the gate, guys.
First mission, we'll see if that price gets even lower. And in a lot of ways, too, this is a big race for him. There he is, sending your screen. It's a big race for this horse because they have aspirations for him to be in the mix in the older horse division. And he's, at this point, off that flop, sort of needs to deliver, doesn't he?
They want to be in the Whitney. Make no mistake. They want to be in the Whitney with a horse like this. You want to stand them at stud. You got to win these grade ones. You got to win the big races. You want to make them valuable. And you're right. I mean, this is nowhere close. I'm not degrading the race. It's a very nice race, but it's nowhere near as important. He's going to have to win big races. The next step, maybe the Oaklawn Handicap. Then you see him head towards, whether he runs, probably not the Met, because it's probably a race that Saudi Cup is pointing for, is probably a race like the Stephen Foster. Then a race like the Whitney, if all things go well. These are the races you've got to win to make yourself into a stallion.
So the starting point, well, they were hoping the starting point was the Pegasus, but now they had to sort of remap that out after things did not go their way. And even early on in that race, this is a horse that's usually at least shown tactical speed. He was nowhere near the front from the get-go that day.
Well, you know, they were moving in there. Don't forget, that was a very fast pace in there. I mean, he was a little bit closer. He broke well. They just outran him, and they knew they were going to outrun him. I mean, National Treasure and what's his name, the horse who wired the field, Hoist the Gold, they're fast horses. He runs as fast as he was early in that race. He'll probably be in front here, I think. Unless the Wizard of Westwood goes on a mission, you know?
That's a horse who was on the lead, sprinting 5 furlongs. He had the other Speed Danger, the 3-horse, in this race. Even money, First Mission. Can he bounce back off that disappointing effort, the Pegasus? For Brad Cox and Godolphin with Florent Giroux. It's our ABR race of the week. Grade 3, Essex Handicap. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
2 back, Magic Tap, now make it what? First Mission to the outside post. We're ready to go. And they're off. And the Essex Handicap, 8th Life Grand, hopped in the air at the start. Great Escape going to the front. First Mission sees the Nighter side by side to come and press the issue as they come by us with 1 lap to go. Wizard of Westwood settling right behind the Speed, traveling well in the early stages 4th. War Campaign is next. The Gray Magic Tap alongside of Time for Trouble. And 8 Life Grand after breaking slowly is at the back of the field. 9 lengths off Great Escape, who paves the way at 35-1. The longest shot in the race leads the way by a touch more than a length. Wizard of Westwood on a hold now. Second, First Mission outside of him. Seize the Night off that pair, is running in the 4th position, swinging up the backstretch. He's 2 lengths off the pace, 1.25 lengths to War Campaign, another 2 to Time for Trouble, Magic Tap, and a good gallop, and that leaves 8th Life Grand still to be the back marker down the backstretch. Great Escape went the opening quarter in 23-1, the half at 47-3 for 1 1/8 miles. That's decent time over the Oaklawn dirt. Great Escape, half-mile remaining, a half length in front. First Mission right there without being asked, now moving up alongside to turn up the heat. Wizard of Westwood has already come under a ride. Seize the Night. War Campaign is between horses now, trying to move with Seize the Night as Wizard of Westwood calls it an afternoon. Magic Tap 5 lengths off the lead with 8 Life Grand. First Mission to the front. Great Escape in an all-out drive, losing contact with First Mission, who comes off the turn, opens up 2 now, just got a tap on the shoulder to kick on, and he does so. Switches leads. Great Escape second but tired. War Campaign next, Seize the Night. Magic Tap on the far outside, rolling late. First Mission all alone on the lead, and he opens up that lead to 4 now. And First Mission coming here to Hot Springs, and he'll be going to the winner's circle. First Mission and a dominant win, and the Essex Handicap. Second home, War Campaign. Time for Trouble up the rail gets 3rd over Magic Tap.
First Mission is back, takes the Grade 3 Essex Handicap in dominant fashion.
Set up very well for him, sitting outside an overmatched horse in what was an honest but relatively moderate pace, and he just dominated this bunch. I mean, this was a joke.
Florent Giroux, Brad Cox, Godolphin, back-to-back stakes wins. We say goodbye to those watching on SNY. Those watching on FS2, good to have you back with us. First Mission, this was a statement victory. Dominates this group in the Essex, and that Pegasus performance now in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and back-to-back big wins for Brad Cox and Godolphin getting it done. He was just way better than these. I mean, Magic Tap doesn't benefit from sitting back in 7th early in this race. I'm not sure why he was a little more forward to watch again to see if he had trouble at the start, but he was never beating this horse. He had the right trip, but he was the goods.
So First Mission delivers as a short price favorite at even money there. No one really even put in a threat.
No. This was a joke. I mean, it's an easy situation. And, the one didn't break, so he had no chance. And the pace was fair, but they're not blazing out there. And I don't know, you compare the mile with the short stretch, these mile and eighth races, but this race is about 2 seconds faster than the prior race went. So if they're comparable and you think that the last winner got I'll just throw it out there, an 87 buyer. You're talking about 12 lanes, you're talking about 15, so you're talking about a figure. I won't be surprised this figure comes back in the 102 to 105 range.
So do you, obviously you got to look and see what he got, but is this a horse that's in the mix with the top older horses in the country?
Oh, yeah. At this point, yeah. I mean, listen, the other thing is, National Treasure's been terrific, but he's been over in Dubai. How's he going to run? Saudi Cup's going to run 2 races over in the Middle East. How are these horses going to come back? He's here. I think this race makes him a potential player in the division. And, they'll decide they're going to stay for the Oaklawn Handicap. Are they going to go? And a lot of people end up going and running the Ali Sheba on Kentucky Derby weekend. It's a decision they'll have to make. I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably point for the Foster and then go from the Foster to the Whitney if all things go well. I mean, you're working backwards, but you're also going forwards. But the Stephen Foster and the Whitney, I think the Foster is now a grade 2. I feel like it is. I'm not certain. I'm not certain. It may be a 1 now that seems to go back and forth. I can never keep it straight.
First Mission dominant in this grade 3 Essex Handicap, our ABR race of the week. There was no question about it. He was much the best and asserting himself again as a major player in this older horse division for 2024. You want a top quality pizza, you can find one out in Hot Springs at Toluca's. We talk about it a lot on this program. Go-to spot if you're checking out the races out at Oaklawn Park.
The pizza's so good there that even Frank Miramati likes it. He likes his pizza.
And Mig said,
it is
actually, this look at that. Oh, wow.
It's good. I mean, I've been there.
Meatballs were this show stealer.
If I didn't think it was good, I would just keep my mouth shut as we're shilling for it here, but it's good. Really good. I went there twice when I was there.
I'd be there every night.
Nice. Steve Bick took me to a nice place up on the lake. We had a very romantic dinner, actually.
How about First Mission and this performance? Safe to say that Pegasus, we have forgotten about it already, and this horse now could be a major player in this older horse.
No, I agree. This was a very good performance by him. It really was. Dominant performance. And the performance also gives you confidence with him. A mile and an eighth race, and he was going as strongly, if not stronger, at the end as he was during the race. And I think it's going to come up a pretty big thing.
just
crushed
widening the lead,
He crushed
too,
these horses.
in the late stages of the
Crushed
race, without even being asked.
He even overcame Florent Giroux.
You love Florent.
I do.
Andy's kidding.
He's a great man.
$4.20
My favorite.
for the win. War Campaign a long way back to second. Time for trouble. Magic Tab. No question. This race was all about First Mission. What a display he just put on. Part of what makes Oaklawn an unforgettable experience is that it's a family operation. And you can feel that family pride in what they bring to the race card each and every day out in Hot Springs. For the Sella family, racing first is not only their motto, it's in their blood, dating all the way back to the track's founding in 1904.
First and foremost, it's a family operation. It's fun to be a fourth generation president of Oaklawn and to see how we've grown. We've been in the same location. We haven't had to move across the street. That's kind of neat. It is about racing at Oaklawn. We tell everyone, especially our new employees, it's racing first. My great-grandfather, Louis Sella, built it in 1904. Charles Sella took over after him. John Sella took over after him, and then we had another Charles Sella, my father, take it over, and now we have Louis Sella. We like keeping the same names in the family. It helps with monogramming. I would sit in on meetings even at a young age. My father would take me and say, you know, be quiet and sit in the corner, and I'd do and just listen. And throughout my life, I've been involved with racing, and it's always been really a part of me until finally the time when it was time to move in and commit. You can look at our media guide, which is published online as well, and look at that history. It's remarkable. We've beaten Prohibition, and we've gone through a couple of world wars and Vietnam and depressions, recessions. Truly, the reason we're successful is for the reasons I just said, that we've been able to evolve. We've been able to change with the times. Beyond that, it's racing first, and really the oldest family in racetrack management in the United States, and we're very proud of that, and we're proud of that legacy, and we think that racing is successful and exciting and has a great future if you believe in it, and if you put your heart and soul in it, and you go forward with that mentality. We see that with our employees, we see that with our trainers, our horsemen, we see that with the horse owners that fly in from coast to coast because of the excitement that we have here at Oakland.
Well, they put on a tremendous show out in Hot Springs each and every day of this meet. Let's bring in Paul LaDuca. Paul, you get to spend every day out at this meet and see it firsthand. And, you know, really up until this Belmont Park reconstruction, what they've done, this family, with developing and the redevelopment with the hotel and everything out there at Oaklawn, one of the biggest undertakings in the industry.
Yeah, 100%, Greg. You make such a great, you can make such a great point to how they added the new and blended the old into the new. I'm sorry about that. It's just so great how they did it. You know, you look at the grandstands, and they were built by the architect. We've mentioned this many times, the same architect as Wrigley Field, and then you brought in the new. But, you know, the Sella family name has just been king here for a long time. And I think, you know, Charles Sella, obviously, and Louis Sella, you know, they've handled it so well with such grace. And I think the part of it is they put the horse first. When you walk into this racetrack, you see the paddock. You see the horses going around in the paddock. I know there's a nice casino over here with unreal rooms, with unbelievable track views as well. But I think the other part about this racetrack that makes it so fun, everybody here is nice. There's not one bad person in here. We're in the Bible Belt, and everybody's so gracious, and everybody comes from very eclectic from all over the place, and you bring so many different elements, which makes this place so special, Greg. And, you know, Mr. Sella has been so kind to us, been so kind to me. A lot of the horsemen have as well. And that's just the way they do it down here. That's just the bottom line. And, you know, when you come in here, and one last note, which makes this even more special, I just found out about this a couple months ago. Let It Ride, the movie. The bars across the street are from Oaklawn. They are from Oaklawn. Those two bars, the Frontier and another bar from across the street, those are based on Oaklawn, because you can go right across the street and get yourself a nice little beer and come on back and bet the races. So it's kind of one of those type of places you can go outside, get pizza, go get beer, come back and bet races. It's fun as can be.
It really embodies that family atmosphere, a great place to bring the entire family, terrific crowd on hand on this Saturday afternoon, and their biggest day of the meet still to come.
Oh no, it's a fun place to go to. It's a little tricky to get there. You got a couple flights getting to Little Rock, or as I did, I drove from Memphis, but it's worth the trip, and it's a fun place to go to, and enjoyed my time there. And maybe one day we'll let you go.
It's on my bucket
I'm not sure
list.
I want to let you go, but you can go.
I can't wait. It's going to happen. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. More ahead on our Saturday coverage here of America's Day at the Races. Nightcap to follow out in Hot Springs right after this.
The Factor, a perennial leading sire of winners. He was third in the nation by winners in 2021 and 2022. His progeny include Grade 1 winners Sistron and Noted and Quoted, Grade 2 winner Charlaine's Mia, and millionaires Bound for Nowhere. And factor this, with dozens of six-figure yearling sayings, he's a proven sire on the track and in the sales ring. The Factor, standing at Lane's End.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
The morning of the 149th Kentucky Derby started out with great disappointment for Hillendale owner John Secura.
The favorite is out. Announced this morning, Forte will not compete in the Kentucky Derby.
Well, I was pouting when the Derby was run. I had a great box, and I was going to the races, and Forte was scratched, and my children were going. You know, we're in the sort of throes of the breeding season. I said, I'll just watch it at home.
They're in the gates.
And not that I didn't think Mage had a chance to win. I thought he did.
Entering the backstretch run, Mage's 15th.
The drive to Churchill is an easy one when you win. It's a long one when you get beat.
But there's one furlong to go. Two Phil's fights on, but Mage has taken the lead.
Was jumping up and down.
Time is running out to catch Mage.
There was nobody here to see my antics.
Mage digs down deep, urged onto the wire to win the Derby.
I just enjoyed and drank in the moment of that achievement, and then the next day we went to the barn and celebrated, and Barbara Banke came over and felt a deep personal and equine connection. She's been such a great partner. We've had great luck together, and we enjoyed the moment of seeing Good Magic bask in the glory of the afterglow winning the Derby, and Curlin was right next to him. It was almost like he looked over and said, "Good job, son, you've got a long way to go, but keep it going." Similarity I see when I see them next to each other is today's legacy and the future legacy.
Curlin and Good Magic, arguably sport's most formidable father and son team.
You know, that's really a separating point on most sires. When you can sire Grade 1 winners and horses that compete at the highest level of racing, that's what breeders are really looking for. It's very hard to do. You know, that genetic switch is either on or off, and when it's on at the highest level, like Curlin and now Good Magic, it's really the epitome of what you could expect from a stallion.
Our program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa.
If you walk around the Oaklawn backstretch, you'll notice that the barns don't have numbers. The barns instead are named in honor of horses significant to Oaklawn's rich history.
Here come two champions, side by side. Heavily prized to the outside and Pansiana right there. And Zenyatta flies to the lead in the middle of the track. And it's Smarty Jones, one step forward to Kentucky and one giant step to $5 million.
It's time to make some memories.
American Pharaoh, breathtaking in a mesmerizing performance. The Oaklawn Handicap and #1 rating will go to Cigar by 2.5. The champion Azeri, here she comes down the middle, and she does it.
40 barns named after 40 important horses, all who helped to contribute to Oaklawn's rich history in their own way.
Curlin is going to decimate this field, winning the Arkansas Derby by 9 lengths.
It's time to make some memories.
So many racing greats with compelling storylines and ties to Oaklawn.
Whitmore win time, Whitmore!
Whitmore, the most recent addition. Love what they do out there with those barn names after significant horses. Whitmore, of course, 7 stakes wins out in Hot Springs. We just saw him parade for the race named in his honor. Former Breeders' Cup Sprint winner back in 2020.
Ah, yeah. We had a big Whitmore week last week. I think we had a whole show on Whitmore actually last week.
Close to it.
Yes, he obviously was. He was a good one.
And amazingly, before he became the incredible sprinter that he was, Whitmore was on the Triple Crown Trail and actually ran in the Kentucky Derby. Let's take a look at this year's group that we're still waiting to see who's going to emerge as that standout 3-year-old. We thought it was going to be Fierceness, the 2-year-old champ. He came back and disappointed in his 3-year-old debut. He could still get there.
Draw didn't do him any favor. He got post 10 of 11 in the Florida Derby. Not going to make it easy getting the front.
Kentucky Derby leaderboard presented by Spendthrift. It's Timberlake up top there. And Sierra Leone for Chad Brown. Of course, who is, if he continues to do what he's done, going to make an impact running late. Let's hear from Chad Brown.
For him to come off a layoff and do that against a slow pace, I mean, he's really overcame a lot in that race, and he continues to improve. He's maturing mentally, physically. He's doing everything you want to see. You know, we added a blinker for his 3-year-old year just to get him a little bit more focused in the early part of the race, and I think it was effective. I certainly saw it in his works, and in his race, he wasn't too far away, and he's just doing everything right. He gets in a nice rhythm on his gallops. He rests a lot throughout the day, smart horse. So, again, he's really doing everything you want to see a 3-year-old that's getting prepared to run in a race of this magnitude. You know, he made that long trip to New Orleans and back and ran great, and he didn't lose a pound, really. He's been training super, so still plan on running him in the Bluegrass on April 6th.
The way he has finished his last couple of races, he looks like a serious Derby contender. Could this be the horse for Chad Brown?
Well, you know, he may well be one of his best shots going in there, and it's not a bad position to be in. I thought he was a massive underlay to be 7-1 in the last Derby pool because he's still got to get faster. He feels like a horse that shouldn't have problems with the distance. He's moving in the right directions. He's lightly raced. I definitely think he's one of the ones. I wouldn't bet him at 7-1 a month and a half away from the race, but I think he's a big player. We'll see who does going forward.
We'll see what happens, later today with another horse he has. Then he has Domestic Product as well.
Yeah, I mean, Domestic Product obviously has to get faster, much faster. The thing about him is, unlike the other horses, he's been in turf racing or dirt racing masquerading or one way or the other as turf races because he's been in 2 straight races that had ridiculously slow paces and then they ran fast to the finish. Those races can't get big dirt figures. They're basically made up figures based on, much like turf races, final times. So who knows how well he can run when he gets a faster pace in a more honestly run race, but he has to get faster. But he might be able to when he's running a more sort of normally run race, especially a race like the Derby where the pace can be quicker.
Still has, another prep to give before that first Saturday in May. Here's Chad Brown on Domestic Product.
Really proud of him. Again, that guy had to overcome a slow pace, and he handled it well. Even though he was tugging on the rider a little bit, he didn't get bent out of shape or quit or waste any energy. He was able to still get there right in the last jump, won a lucky bob there, and then seemed to gallop out pretty good. So I'm real pleased with him. He's bounced out of the race good. He's galloping along nice and sound, and I'm just trying to really choose between maybe running him in the bluegrass or possibly even training him to the Derby. I've had a little bit of a second thought on that, and it's not impossible for him to do that. It's just inside 60 days, and he's had 2 tough races in a row at a mile 16th where he was really finishing, and I have a lot of good horses in my barn for him to train with, so I'm considering it. He's come along quite a ways mentally, this horse, and I'm very proud of him, and he's doing all the things you need to do to get into a race like the Derby and have some success.
And so, actually, he is going to train up to the Kentucky Derby. That's the plan?
I mean, everything is fluid. He could show up in the Bluegrass Stakes. It seems possible. It's not like Chad said an absolute, but the last I heard, and I have heard about him, is that he's going to train up at the Derby. Chad's the trainer. It's his decision.
Still, you look at the lineup he has. It's nice to have options and a few.
Absolutely.
But he needs to step forward quite a bit to contend with his best three-year-olds,
it's
right?
hard for me to judge a horse like him. And as somebody believes in speed figures, I want to see him run that faster race, and he has not run that faster race. But he's also been in 2 straight races where nobody could get a fast speed figure. I don't care who you are.
You want to see the last race from Oaklawn? You can catch it on NyraBets.com. So head there to check it out. We're going to be signing off. This race is going to take place in about 8 minutes to post in their finale. We're back tomorrow with the Saturday card moved to Sunday at Aqueduct, including that Biagio's Rose. So we'll see you beginning at 3 Eastern time tomorrow on our Fox Sports coverage. Nash absolutely dominant in the Hot Springs for Brad Cox and Godolphin to get the 2nd win of his career and first mission. No question about who was best in our ABR race of the week, putting himself back in the conversation as one of the top older horses in the country. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 Eastern.